Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask some questions or maybe just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now. 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us, and we'll be here till about 9 p.m. tonight. Today, we're going to talk about Conor McGregor, the UFC Conor McGregor, two-division champion. Yeah, two-division champion. Gets a boxing license and is immediately called out. We'll see. We'll have the latest, and we'll tell you who called him out. Roy Jones has his next fight signed, and I don't know, everybody's dumping all over this fight, but I'm real excited about this one. And we'll talk about that later on. Tommy Morrison, the Duke's son, is scheduled to join us at 7:30 tonight. So get your questions ready. Our train wreck of the week this week involves none other than Floyd Mayweather Jr. But first, we get started with an absolute shocker. I couldn't believe this when I saw it. I read about it before I saw it, and I was just like, wow. Unknown junior welterweight Julius Indongo, who was 21-0 and who's now 21-0 with 11 knockouts, needed just 40 seconds, 40, to wipe out Edward Troyanovsky. It was a huge left hand that connected and put Troyanovsky out to pasture. This wasn't just a stoppage or TKO. He was out cold. He was knocked out cold. And on the canvas for several minutes, it was actually kind of a scary scene because when he went down, man, he just went down like a ton of bricks. You could tell he was out before he hit the floor. It was one of those things. And it almost looked like before that shot hit him, he almost looked like he braced for it. But yeah, he got popped, and man, I mean, it was a big left hand. Troyanovsky, of course, was unbeaten at 25-0, 22 knockouts coming into the fight. But somebody forgot to tell Indongo. The thing that got me with this fight was that it was a good punch, but it was a windup. It was like it was like an outside kind of hook, like a big looping kind of hook that really, it shouldn't have caught him, in my opinion. Go ahead.
You're almost describing like a bolo punch.
No, it wasn't. It was just a looping shot. It was like that looping kind of hook that hit him. You know what I mean? I don't think he should have really been hit with it. But, of course, I'm not in the ring. I know I would have got hit with it, but that's me, But I couldn't see like Terrence Crawford, put it that way. I couldn't see like a guy like Terrence Crawford getting hit with that shot.
No.
The first thing I noticed in this fight was a size difference, man. And Indongo was much taller. But watching the fight, man, Troyanovsky didn't seem bothered by the height and reach, for the 40 seconds that he was in there. He looked like he was fighting his normal fight and then got caught, Robert, let me ask you, does this make Julius Indongo the lineal best ever? Troyanovsky beat Cesar Cuenca, who was at the time the best ever at 48-0. That gave the title to Troyanovsky, and now Indongo has beat him. What do you think about that?
Well, hey, it's great for his career because before Saturday, nobody knew who he was, and now those that follow boxing know who he is. Hopefully we get to see him on United States TV. Let's see what he's got.
Absolutely. The best ever was the face on Andre Rubinski when he saw Troyanovsky go down. I mean, he's the promoter and everything like that, the Russian promoter. He promotes all the Russian guys. Seeing Troyanovsky go down, we actually got a screenshot of it, if we can share that here. Joe, do you see that? Did that come up?
I certainly do. Oh, my God. Yes, it did, sir.
There you go. So, yeah. So I tell you what, man, but all joking aside, man, I tell you, that was a crazy, crazy fight. I mean, for the 40 seconds that it lasted. And I'll tell you, I want to see Indongo again. I really do, because he had coming in, he didn't have a lot of knockouts. I mean, compared to, I mean, he's got, you know, right around the 500 range in knockouts. But, you know, coming in, he wasn't expected to do much. But looking at this guy, it kind of makes me wonder, did they really scout this guy before he came in? He's a tall, lanky fighter. And Troyanovsky's a big guy, but he was a lot bigger than Troyanovsky. Had a big reach on him. It looked like he had a big height advantage, big reach advantage. I don't know, man. I tell you, it was interesting. It was interesting. Beeb, let me ask you this, because I know you're big into conspiracy theories. I want you to think about something, okay? This is in the word around the water cooler was that the Russians messed with the U.S. presidential election and leaned it toward Trump. Okay, that's what you're hearing. You're hearing they hacked in the boxes and everything. Since Donald Trump won the election, you think about this. Since Donald Trump won the election, Sergey Kovalev, Russian fighter, lost a very disputed decision to Andre Ward. A lot of people say it was a robbery. Edward Troyanovsky, Russian fighter, got KO'd by a journeyman this weekend. How's that for karma? What do you think, Beeb?
First of all, before we get started, we have to do a nice shout out to Linda De Silva for creating this Beating the Odds with Beeb t-shirt.
Let me see it.
I have to give her a shout out for that. Right here. What do you think? What do you think of that?
I love it. I love it.
We have to give her a big shout out. That was a spontaneous early birthday present.
That's awesome.
So I got to give her a shout out to that.
Awesome.
You know, getting back to this Donald Trump BS, everyone's crying. Everyone's trying to link this conspiracy. But you know what? It is what it is. You know, sometimes what's thought to happen or perceived to have happened or perceived to have supposed to have happened doesn't always happen. This is a sport that has many different shocks to it. This is the theater of the unexpected, as Larry Merchant likes to say. So, I don't think there's any conspiracies here. I think Sergey Kovalev lost a close fight. We've seen guys get upset before. Look at Mike Tyson, for instance. Obviously, we can go back many years to that upset. And then, there's been, upsets recently as well. We can go back last year to Tyson Fury's upset of Vladimir Klitschko. So things happen, man. Things definitely happen in this sport. So, yeah, there's no conspiracy theories here.
No conspiracy, just coincidence, huh? All right. I'll take your word for it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. Now, let's move forward here. Denis Lebedev versus Murat Gassiev. This was actually, the Troyanovsky was actually on the undercard of this fight. These two were fighting for Lebedev's IBF cruiserweight title. All right, now wait a minute here. Lebedev holds both the IBF and WBA titles, right? He's the IBF and WBA cruiserweight champion. Oh, yeah.
That is correct, I think.
The WBA refused to sanction the fight.
The WBA is a fucking idiot.
That's right. The WBA did not sanction the fight because Gassiev was not the mandatory. He was the IBF mandatory. Lebedev's people submitted an application to not have the fight be for the WBA title. And the WBA, of course, being the stand-up organization that they are, they obliged. So they didn't put the title on the line. So only the IBF title was on par right there. So it's a good thing that Lebedev's people did that. Murat Gassiev dethroned the cruiserweight champion, Denis Lebedev, with a tough split decision on Saturday night in Moscow. Scores were 116-112, 116-111, and 114-113 for Lebedev. 2 for Gassiev, 1 for Lebedev. Lebedev remains a WBA champion. You should still be able to buy the WBL at the dollar store because that's all it's really worth. Robert, what do you make of this? What do you make of and it was a close fight by all accounts. Very good fight, close fight. What do you make of the WBA here not putting that fight on the when you have
Okay, let me ask you a question. Was the opponent who won, was he ranked in the WBA?
He was not the number one contender, but yes, I believe he was ranked in the WBA.
Okay, then as far as I'm concerned, the WBA had no excuse not to sanction this fight. The sanctioning bodies, their number one goal is to collect as many sanctioning fees as they can. What the hell is going on with them? You turn down an opportunity to collect a sanctioning fee and to have a new champion. Like I said, the WBAs are fucking idiots. I mean, when I made that comment, we were originally talking about Canelo, but that soundbite fits perfectly. Stupid.
We find a perfect spot for it every week.
Yeah.
Beeb, what are your thoughts on this? Because, to me, the fact that, Lebedev lost the fight, whether he won or lost doesn't really matter here. But as a champion, I mean, you kind of go out with those belts on the line. What is the belt really worth now that you lost? You're not the champion anymore, but you're going to come around like you are the champion. I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, what it all comes down to is you hear this saying so much in boxing that, the belts don't make the fighter, the fighter makes the belts. So at the end of the day, people know who the champion is. The record books will show that Lebedev lost. So the WBA can do whatever they want to do, and they've had a history of doing whatever they wanted to do, and they didn't really have the best interest of the fighter or the fans at heart. So that, it just adds more fuel to the fire of how the fans are always criticizing the sanctioning bodies and how the sanctioning bodies continuously lose credibility with everyone involved in the sport, not just the fighters, not just the fans, but just basically when we look at the BBC, how they do things, and other parts of the world fights, and other sanctioning bodies. When people can say whatever they want about the WBC. But the WBC, if you go back in history and you look at that Sugar Ray Leonard Marvin Hagler fight, they got it. They understood. All the other sanctioning bodies stripped Marvin Hagler. The WBC realized, you know what, this is a super fight. We don't care. We're gonna sanction this fight, and that's that. So again, you got to look at the situation. The WBA has their cockamamie rules in place. They have regular champions. They have super champions. So that itself just tells you that whole sanctioning body is kind of a mess. So what else can I say about the WBA that Robbie hasn't already said? I mean, he coined the phrase properly when he said the WBA are fucking idiots, and I couldn't say it any better than him.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Well, not only that, you would think the sanctioning body would, okay, hey, this is a title unification. We definitely want to be a part of that. This makes no sense here. Yeah, the fight took place in Russia, but it was your champion defending his title. What's up with that? I mean, how are you supposed to respect an organization? I'll give the IBF credit. The IBF always enforces their mandatories. The WBC don't always do that. The WBA don't always do that. The WBO don't always do that. But the IBF, they always do that. I don't know what the hell's going on with Roberto, the president of the WBA. I forget his last name, but I don't understand what's going on with him. You turned down an opportunity to be a part of a world title unification bout, and as it turns out, you would have had a new champion belt. I mean, there's no excuse for stuff like this, and you threw away the extra money in the process. Because the sanctioning bodies like the extra fees that come along with title fights.
Can I interject for a second? And I want to just talk about the hypocrisy here.
Okay.
If you guys remember when Floyd Mayweather fought Shane Mosley, and Shane Mosley was a WBA welterweight champion. Do you remember when Floyd Mayweather said, I'm not going to pay the sanctioning fee. I don't want the WBA belt. So the WBA belt was not on the line. But when Shane Mosley lost that fight, they stripped him.
I remember that.
Yeah, so just look at that fight, and that just basically speaks to the hypocrisy of the WBA and the inconsistencies in how they apply their rules. Why did they strip Shane Mosley? And now Lebedev is still the champion. How ridiculous is that?
It makes no sense. It doesn't. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense, you know, on the level that his camp said, well, we don't want, you know, let's we can do the IBF, but we're not going to do the WBA. So if he loses it, you know, I mean, seriously, I mean, that's how much you know, that's how much faith you got in your guy over there, you know. You know, and really, how can you call him a champion? But again, you're talking about the WBA. They have super champions, they have regular champions, they have television champions, you know, they have intercontinental champions. I mean, it's just like the old wrestling days.
Well, Eric, look at the whole Triple G Danny Jacobs thing. They both supposedly have belts when only one person has a belt in that organization.
Yeah, and speaking of that situation, and I actually didn't put it down in news and notes, but so we'll talk about it now. The Triple G and Danny Jacobs situation is that Tom Loeffler said that they're real close. It sounds like they're real close to getting this, and it may maybe it goes down to a purse bid, but I mean, it sounds like they're close. If they don't make a deal, then it sounds like Jacobs is going to get stripped. That's what it sounds like, you know. And then they just wasted all this time.
The date I heard if it gets signed would be March 18th in Madison Square Garden.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's, you know, and what sucks about it is, like I said, if that fight doesn't go down, then they wasted all of this time, all of this hassle, negotiating this fight for a guy who who wasn't going to step in the ring with him anyway. Because that's ultimately what's going to happen.
You had a guy go to training camp for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, he went to training camp this time for nothing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Training camp now, just to be in training camp, just to stay sharp. Yeah, it's crazy, man, just crazy. All right, the other fight this weekend, there was some more. Richard Commey versus Denis Shafikov. In an IBF lightweight eliminator, Denis Shafikov scored a close split decision over Richard Commey Friday night in Moscow. The scores were 115-113 and 116-112 for Shafikov, and then 116-112 for Commey. A lot of people said Commey won this fight. You know, this is another thing that I don't really get, because the winner of this fight, of course, fights Robert Easter of Ohio. And Richard Commey, how is he back in the mix? He just lost to Easter. I don't understand how he's back in the mix. You know, that's another one that just absolutely baffles me. How on earth this guy can be back in the mix when he just lost? He had a shot.
Well, Eric, it's called the Panama Lewis mix, don't you know?
Yeah, right. That's the one he mixed. All right, I'll tell you that. And yeah, it just it blows me away, some of this stuff, man, because you see it and it's constantly the same over and over again. So that's at lightweight Robert Easter. Yeah, so Richard 1 and 2 were not rated. 3 was Richard Commey and 5 was Denis Shafikov. And I don't understand, like I said, man, how they're, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't pretend to know, because it's just, honestly, it's pretty frustrating. So all right, but so Commey loses. Shafikov gets the title shot against Robert Easter, and Robert Easter is absolutely going to paste him because he's from Ohio. That's what time it is. All right, so let's talk about the Billy Joe Saunders fight, man. This was another crazy one here. Billy Joe Saunders versus Arthur Akavov. WBO middleweight champion Billy Saunders won a 12-round unanimous decision over WBO number 10 rated guy Artur Akavov, who is 16-2-7 in Glasgow, Scotland this weekend. Scores were 116-113, 116-112, and 115-113. Saunders admitted after the fight that it was a terrible performance. It must be tough to be a genius. How miserable was this fight? How miserable? In 12 rounds, the total punches were as follows. Saunders, 82. He landed 82 of 579 punches for 14% landing. Akavov was 81 punches landed, 624 thrown, so he was slightly busier for 13% landed. Saunders admitted after the
My
fight.
God, what an awful fight.
Yeah, right. Akavov did well in the first 7 rounds of this fight, and then Saunders, Saunders does what Saunders does. Saunders tries to come back, but I can't help. I mean, we've seen Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know. I mean, and Beeb, you could probably speak on this better than I can. Is he another Liam Smith when he comes? Is he going to come over here and just lay an egg when he fights a big name guy?
This is the thing, and I watched the Andy Lee fight, and I thought that fight was razor close. I had that fight a draw, actually.
I thought Andy Lee won, but
yeah,
I had that fight a draw. I thought it was extremely close fight, and this fight was an extremely close fight too. And I had how do you pronounce that guy's name again, Eric? I'm sorry.
Akavov.
Akavov. I apologize to Akavov and his family. I keep just stripping pronounce that. I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to sound like an idiot trying to pronounce that name. But, with all due respect. So getting back to the fight, getting back to Billy Joe Saunders. This is the thing about Billy Joe Saunders. He fought very tentatively in this fight. And I don't know, even in the Andy Lee fight, I thought he did very well early on. And, he got tagged by Andy Lee. Andy Lee hurt him with a good shot after he knocked Andy Lee down. Then Andy Lee came back and landed a good shot and hurt him. And then he kind of went on his bicycle. He fought defensively. It seems to me that Billy Joe Saunders really likes to fight on the outside. And, he makes a concerted effort to constantly keep that distance. He's constantly moving away and constantly backing up. And very rarely does he, really put forth a sustained attack in there. So it looks to me like he's just doing enough to win rounds. He seems like, again, all fighters are concerned about getting hit because no one likes to get hit. I don't care what any fighter says. It's not a pleasant thing. And if they smile and they laugh and they brag about, I don't care getting hit. I like it. It makes me stronger. It makes me get angry or whatever the case is. No one likes getting hit. But there are times when you have times when a fighter is overly concerned about getting hit and they really fight over conservatively. And, Billy Joe Saunders, to me, at a lot of points in fights, really, fights over conservatively, fights very tense, very, seems like he's just overly concerned about getting hit, and he's really thinking too much in there and really not letting those punches flow. And I think that's going to be a problem when he gets in there with a guy who's really going to take it to him. What's going to happen when he runs out of ring? What's going to happen when he gets pinned up against the ropes? Because as the distance closed in this fight, that's when he was getting tagged. That's when he looked like a fish out of water. He was totally out of his comfort zone when Abakov, or how to pronounce his name, got in the mid-range and really started throwing those short, choppy looping shots over Saunders' guard. So, is this the guy that's going to be Triple G? Judging by what I saw yesterday, absolutely not. I just don't see it. And I thought that he would beat Canelo. No, I don't think he'll beat Canelo. I think Canelo would beat him, probably knock him out. If not, beat him very sound.
Don't you think he's the softest belt holder right now in the middleweight division?
Could be. Totally could be. But like I said, he seems to be fighting overly defensive lately. And it's just something that's going to be a problem with judges in close fights. Now, no one knew who his opponent was, so he probably got the benefit of the doubt in this fight. I thought he edged it. But, he goes in there with another named fighter, and as you said, Eric, he comes over to the United States, and he fights like that, and fights like he fought in the Andy Lee fight. I don't think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. I really don't. So if he does come over here, he better bring his A game, and he can't fight he can't fight in the matter of trying not to lose. He's got to fight to win. So he's doing just enough not to lose and eke by, and that's not going to be enough when he comes over here. That's just my opinion. Who knows what could happen, but I just don't see, judges giving him the benefit of the doubt on American soil fighting like that.
Well, Eric, maybe this is why his camp has always turned down these offers. Maybe they realize what kind of fighter he actually is, and they're actually afraid to put him in there against somebody because they know what's going to happen.
I would agree with that. I mean, there's got to be he's shot off at the mouth so many times, but he's been offered a lot of fights. His biggest win to date is Chris Eubank Jr. You know, and again, I mean, I don't see him in a rush to come over here. Put it that way. He could have been on the undercard of Canelo. Now they're saying that that Canelo never offered that to him, but it was all over the place that was being offered. So you know, that's a tough pill to swallow when you say you weren't offered, but everybody and their mother is saying, yeah, he kind of was. You know.
Well, maybe the people in the UK know more than what we know, and maybe they realize how weak a champion he really is. No offense to any UK listeners, but that's what it sounds like to me.
It was tough. It was tough because, you know, and again, I'll go and I'll say this over and over again. With the Liam Smith, you talk about the Liam Smith, when he came over here, Beeb and I were so excited about that fight because I'm like, you know, Liam Smith, from the way he looks, has got a real shot here. And he just got steamrolled. I mean, that fight wasn't even close. I mean, at no point was he even in the fight. Not saying he didn't try. He clearly did.
No.
But at no point was he in this fight. This wasn't a fight. You know, it was just a massacre. And that was his first time fighting out of England. And I think Frampton does it right. Frampton did it right. He came out. He fought, you know, and the guy he fought wasn't, you know, wasn't an elite fighter, but he wasn't a C-level fighter either. He was a good fighter. You know, was it Gonzalez Jr., wasn't it? That Frampton fought his first fight here on the PBC?
No, I think you're right. And remember, the first time Carl Frampton fought over here, and I forget the guy's name, but remember in the first round, that guy knocked him down twice.
Right. And that just shows you, I mean, the jitters, I mean, you got the jitters when you come over here, and the jitters are real. How many English fighters have we seen come over here for the first time? Look at even Prince Nassim when he came over here for the first time against Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly almost had him out of there.
Right.
You know, and, you know, but that's the kind of guy, I mean, you know, they come over here and they don't, you know, they're untested because you've only fought one place, one style. You're untested. I really believe that. And until you can come over here, and I'm not saying they're not good fighters, but until you can come over here and do the same with some quality opposition and build your way in, that's how you win fights here. You know?
That's right.
But yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. Let's move ahead, man. Let's talk about your boy Sam Peter was fighting this weekend. Sam Peter versus Kubrat Pulev. Heavyweight contender Kubrat Pulev stopped the former WBC heavyweight kingpin Sam Peter on Saturday night in Bulgaria. It was pretty one-sided here, man. It was like target practice for Pulev. Sam Peter was not, this is not the Sam Peter of old. This was a very slow, very heavy, you know, because he was always a big guy. Sam Peter was always a pretty big guy, heavyweight, but yeah, he was a little lot on the belly there. So yeah, time
to find something else to do, Sam.
Yeah, he was stopped at round 4. Actually, he stayed in his corner at the beginning of round 4. So he didn't want to fight anymore. So that was it for him. Sam Peter probably going to head out to pasture after this one. Tevin Farmer faced Darden Zananej, and this was a one-sided fight with Tevin Farmer. I mean, this was expected to be a one-sided fight. Tevin Farmer won this easily with scores of 99-91 twice and 98-92. B, what do you think of Tevin Farmer? I mean, where does he go from here? What kind of future does he have? And is he a serious guy?
You know, the jury's still out on Tevin Farmer, but he seems to have some skills. He's a quick guy. He's a sharp puncher, and he's pretty solid defensively. But again, you know, they're moving him slowly, which they should. Still got plenty of time. But I don't know if he's got that it factor about him. When you look at him, there's nothing. I don't think he's a dynamic type fighter. Like sometimes when you just look at guys, you can say to yourself, that guy's going to be a star. That guy's, you know, he's the goods.
Right.
You know, Tevin Farmer's definitely solid. He's solid without question. He's a solid fighter. But I don't know if I want to say he's the goods just yet. You know what I mean? I want to see a little more of him. I want to see him in there with some better opposition. You know, I'm on the fence right now about him. I'm on the fence right now, but I'm not ready to anoint him. So, but I mean, I think he definitely has potential. I think he does a lot of things well. And I don't think he does too many things poorly. But again, it's hard to say because he really hasn't been pushed yet as a pro.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree. Robert, anything on Tevin Farmer?
No, I haven't really seen him yet, Eric.
Okay.
But from what I've heard and from the way you guys talk about him, I'm looking forward to him appearing on United States TV.
Very good. Very good. 323-870-3857 if you want to call. Right now we're going to go to the line. 503. I believe that's Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. 503, you're live.
That is correct.
Yo, what up, guys? This is Josue from Portland.
Hey, man, how are you?
Josue, how are you?
Hey, what up, B? What up, Ringside Robert? It's been a while, man. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, since the last show. But hey, I wanted to call in real quick, and I just wanted to talk about the rumors about Conor possibly getting into boxing and maybe Paulie being his first opponent. And I just want to say, man, that I think Paulie's the worst to represent our sport in this fight, because I would not want to see that with Paulie introducing him into the game, because we know that Paulie's been out of his prime for a while, and that scares me, because I don't want Conor looking good in our sport. You know what I mean? I don't want him looking great in our sport and making a mockery of it. So I don't know. I don't know if yeah.
Now wait a minute, Jose. I'm surprised you would say that, because this guy is an absolute superstar in the UFC. Don't you think a dynamic personality like that could really infuse the sport of boxing? I mean, you may have a bad opinion on Paulie Malignaggi and the way he looks in his career, and we know his prime's past. But if that fight were to ever come off, Conor McGregor could really use that to launch his boxing career. I don't know if anything's going to happen, but hey, I applaud the guy for getting a license, and let's see if he's actually serious about getting involved in boxing. Let's not jump ahead. Eric, you're the UFC guy on this panel. What do you think?
I'll tell you what, it's I know he can box. I mean, that's how he does in the UFC. He's not very good on the ground. He's not as technical. Now, if you watch him box in the UFC, you have to remember it's a very different style. Your feet are going to be, you look at somebody when they box in the UFC, their feet are a little bit different. Their movement's a little bit different. Maybe they carry their hands a little bit low, and they all do this for a reason, because in boxing, you don't have to worry about a guy tackling you. You don't have to worry about a guy putting his hands around your neck and strangling you. Here you do. You don't have to worry about kicks coming at your face or at your legs, and those are all factors that he has to deal with in the UFC. That being said, we know that he's boxed as an amateur. You can tell. And we know he does have an amateur pedigree, whether that's, I'm not talking like Olympic pedigree, don't get crazy, but he does have some amateur boxing skill. That being said, would he match up? I would like to see him match up against, like a C or D level guy and see how he does. My guess is he would probably do okay. We saw the training footage with Chris Van Heerden, and we're going to talk about Chris Van Heerden in a minute. And Jose, did you see the Chris Van Heerden footage?
Yeah.
Okay. We actually
the tall dude.
Yeah.
Was it that tall guy he was sparring?
Yes. Right. And that was the other thing, man. He was, he was sparring and he was holding his own in sparring. I was just impressed that, and we'll talk about the edited footage and everything, but I was just impressed that he got in there with Van Heerden and actually looked like he wasn't, it wasn't like he was being outclassed in there. He actually looked like he belonged in there. And there were some things that he did, technically you look at it and there's some things he did wrong. But I think what people got to remember, this is sparring. They weren't trying to take each other's heads off. They were just trying to learn from each other and, get work in, and work on their mistakes and their flaws, and they work to sharpen each other. So let me ask you, Josue, if Conor McGregor comes in and let's say he fights a guy like Paulie Malignaggi, how do you think that goes?
I think it goes Conor's way, man. Right now we're seeing an old, diminished Paulie, man. A guy that has no punching power. and a guy that shows up. I mean, we know what Paulie is, man. We've seen his fights. There's a reason why he's not getting the fights that he wants right now in boxing, because we know he's only a stepping stone right now, man. And he knows it too, man. He's at the end of his career, and Paulie could only make Conor look good, and that's the thing I don't want. The thing what I'm saying is that I don't want an MMA guy beating any boxer, because when James Toney lost to Randy Couture, that was very heartbroken for me. That was
tough,
the
wasn't
worst
it?
thing for me ever.
Oh,
for
man.
I love my boxers, man. I grew up watching boxing and stuff, so that's what I'm saying, man. I don't want a boxer losing to an MMA guy, because we know MMA is just it's pretty much a legal street fight, right? And I just don't want a precious boxer losing to an MMA guy. And if it was prime Paulie, like the guy that fought Cotto, the guy that fought Khan, like I would give all the advantages to Paulie. But right now, the Paulie that we know is not going to beat a young Conor, just because the guy is too young, man. The guy's too young, and that's all I'm saying. And that's what scares me, because I don't want these MMA guys gloating over our sport. You know what I mean? It's going to make us all look bad. It's going to, if they're always talking shit about, boxing, how boxing screws we get screwed. They screw their fans over pay-per-view and then shitty decisions. This is just another, black eye for boxing if Paulie loses and gets this fight. What I'm saying, I just want to finish and say it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm really surprised that you hold that opinion. I mean, I am always been a boxing guy. I haven't watched an MMA fight in my life.
Oh.
But I think with the way that he promotes himself, I think it would be good for boxing. I'm really surprised that you don't like this idea.
Well, wait a minute.
I just don't want an MMA guy beating a boxer, man. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you like, let me ask you this, Robert. If you like the way that McGregor promotes himself, why don't you like the way Floyd promotes himself? I mean, what's the difference?
At least Conor McGregor has a personality, Eric, and he knows how to use it. And you don't hear about Conor McGregor getting arrested for things. You don't hear about Conor McGregor doing domestic violence towards women. You don't hear about Conor McGregor wanting to open up his own strip clubs.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You don't hear about
What's wrong with the strip club? What's wrong with the strip club?
Fine, all right. I'll tell you what. When I open mine, Josue, you're invited, and Beeb, you're invited. Rob, you sit outside. All right, you're not invited inside. All right.
I can't go to the strip clubs now, but I don't think they should be illegal. That's all I'm saying. Casinos. I mean, I can't go to the strip clubs. Look, I don't want to go to the strip clubs right now. I don't want to go.
Look, Joe, I would go to any strip club except for one owned by Floyd Mayweather Jr., okay?
Wow.
I would think that would be the best strip club. I mean, I would think,
Robbie's talking about strip clubs like they're crack houses. Come on, Robbie.
No, but hey, I respect your opinion, Jose, and you have the right to express it. I was just surprised. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I like Conor. I like Conor what he's doing, but I like what he's doing for the MMA sport, and him trying to get into our sport, the sport that I love, the one that I grew up watching. It just doesn't sit well with me, man. I just don't want any box. I just love boxing too much, man, to see it fall against a guy like McGregor just because he's an MMA guy. That's all I'm saying, man. And but I mean, I do respect what Conor has done in his sport, right? I mean, he knocked out Aldo in 13 seconds. He beat the shit out of fucking Eddie Alvarez and got 2 titles. I mean, that's
Did you
big,
see
man.
that coming? I didn't see that coming.
He lost to Diaz and then beat Diaz. But I just don't want him shining in our sport, because James Toney, when he went over there, it was really heartbreaking to me, man. It was bad, man. I didn't like that shit. So, James Toney was the last guy to fall, but I don't want him shining, and that's what I got to say. But I do respect McGregor,
Man, I'll tell you.
Let me jump in real quick, because I understand what Josue is saying. Because you got this guy Conor McGregor, he's in his prime. Okay, he's the best in his division. So if he's going to come over, I mean, no disrespect to Paulie, but Paulie is not in his prime. Paulie is not probably. I mean, who's to say Paulie wouldn't win against McGregor, because McGregor really isn't a pro fighter. He has no pro fights, so it's not like it would be easy for McGregor. But again, if you're going to try to cross over, because every time you know, we have a guy trying to cross over there. Like Holly Holm, when she crossed over, you know, she fought good fighters. You know, James Toney crossed over. He had to fight a guy who was one of the best in MMA. So if someone like McGregor's going to cross over, being as good as he is and having a big name as he is, he's going to fight a guy who's one of the best in our sport. And with all due respect to Paulie Malignaggi's not one of the best in our sport right now. You know, he's again has a lot of issues with his hands. You know, he's lost a couple fights in recent years, and he's been kind of beat up a little bit in recent years. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. So he's definitely, you know, the worst for wear, and he's not what he once was. So what would that mean right now, him versus Paulie Malignaggi? I think a fight with the Mayweather, I think Mayweather would win easily, but that would still be a super event because you have super fights and you have super events.
Right.
Now, both guys would get paid handsomely. So, you know, the risk for reward would you know, it would be well worth it. And again, Mayweather's not a huge puncher. So even McGregor would lose. There's a chance that he wouldn't get hurt too badly. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. I think that the Malignaggi fight honestly doesn't make sense for what that reason I just said about Malignaggi. And also, I don't think it would generate enough money for it to be McGregor's, be worth McGregor's while, I should say. So that's why I'm saying I understand what Josue's. That's why I understand what Josue's saying.
And keep this in mind. This could also be a negotiating ploy, guys, because remember, after UFC 205 in the Garden, he made it abundantly clear that he wants to get paid like a true superstar. You know, he wants to get compensated. He even asked for a piece of the company. I don't know if he'll get that, but I think he's using boxing as a negotiating to say, Dana White, look, this is what I have to offer. If you don't compensate me correctly, I'm going to go sell my wares somewhere else.
You know, and I'll tell you what, you know, here's the deal, though. I mean, that's like, I mean, and I think he's using it as a negotiation ploy, I'll be honest with you. But him saying that he wants ownership of the UFC is like, you know, Andy Dalton saying he wants ownership of the Bengals or the NFL. You know what I mean? It's, you work for an organization. I mean, they're going to pay you what they pay. If you want it, you got to
conflict of interest.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. In regards, I will tell you this though, and I know you guys maybe think that McGregor, Paulie Malignaggi to me is a seasoned professional fighter. Multiple times he's won championships. This guy can fight. He can fight in his sleep. He's probably been fighting since he could crawl. All right. There's no way McGregor beats him. None. I mean, look at those guys that Paulie's been in with. I mean, he's been in with some heavy hitters, you know, and not that McGregor, you know, but McGregor's got one big shot, and that's that left hand. And he lands it over and over on the guys at the UFC, but he's a good boxer too. He's a good boxer. He's nowhere near the level of Malignaggi. And I don't care. I mean, you could put McGregor in the gym for 6 months. Look at CM Punk. You remember and I don't know if you guys, how much of the UFC you guys actually follow, but CM Punk, the wrestler, he came out and he did nothing. He trained for about 1.5 years for that fight. And the guy that he fought, Mickey Gall, had like 2 or 3 professional fights and just completely wiped the floor with that guy. I mean, that fight was over in less than 5 minutes. Go ahead.
But that's kind of a bad comparison because we know that CM Punk doesn't have any background in combat sports, and you know, obviously McGregor does. You know.
Well, no, what I heard.
He's got training. He knows how. He's been hit. He's been hit. He's been sparring. But and you're talking about it like how old was CM Punk when he went in there? He was like 38, 39, like
he was 40, up there. Yeah, he was up
against
there.
a young buck at he was like 23. So it's not the same, man. We're talking about a diminished Paulie, man. We're talking about a pillow puncher, man. We know what Paulie brings to the table. You know what I mean? I no disrespect to Paulie, but I mean I love Paulie. I love his podcast. You know, shout out to Brooklyn to the World. Shout out to Peter Cards. I love their fucking podcast. It's a funny ass podcast. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out because it's funny as hell.
It's very good.
It's just that this is bad, man. This is gonna give us a black eye. And Paulie's he's the worst representative to represent our sport. It should be a guy like Mikey, Canelo. I don't know, a top big name that's in their prime right now. And right now, Malignaggi's not in his prime, man. And it just wouldn't go good because, you know, like like Beeb said, I agree. Conor is in his prime. He's in the high of his life. You know, he's a young kid. I think he's only 28, and it would cause problems with a Paulie. You know, like Paulie's been fighting in like Italy lately, right? Like he's been fighting like bums in Italy.
Yeah.
It's a bad comparison, man. It's right now even Paulie has a hard time getting a fight with a big name in boxing. Like no one wants to even fight him because he's not in his prime. He's no longer a contender. He's just a guy that's just trying to keep fighting, and he shouldn't be fighting because he's way over his prime, man. And it's just sad, man. And I like Paulie, man. But it's just like, come on. Paulie can't be delusional, man. And it's a young man's sport, dude. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you now.
It wouldn't go good for Paulie.
All right, let me ask you, and we'll go around the panel with this question here, and I'll start with you, Josue. Barring Mayweather, because we know that Mayweather, I mean, that fight's a mega fight. That will get Conor. I mean, Conor will go, to the end of the earth and back to try to make that fight because it's going to mean millions and millions and millions. And I believe that, he's still under contract with UFC. So that's all got to sort itself out and everything like that. But, hey, money will sort out anything, right? Aside from Mayweather, say that fight can't be made. What other name can you see Conor McGregor go in against that will bring that type of money, that big money, not Mayweather money, but hey, enough to say, hey, let me check this out here. What superstar?
Now,
what name?
Eric, does it have to be at 147? Well, I mean, what does Conor McGregor weigh?
155.
155.
So it'd have to be either 147 or 154.
I don't think it's.
The only guy
I was gonna say
would be like a Canelo, Eric.
I was about to say, I'd love to see him fight Canelo. That would be awesome.
Jesus.
Yeah, because in my opinion, I don't think he's gonna go down back to 145. But if Mayweather is in the picture, he'll suck that weight to make that fight happen. I think he'll only go down and wait for Mayweather. I mean, that only makes sense. And yeah, like you said, I think Canelo would be the best fight because I mean that's a top dog right there, man. You know what I mean?
That's a big fight,
I think he'll avoid Triple D.
My goodness, that is a big fight.
Golden Boy would go for that. Look at how Oscar's been negotiating the Triple G thing with Canelo. Would Oscar take this gamble?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
why wouldn't he?
He'll be an easy picking, man. He'll be an easy picking.
Yeah. So B, what about you? Who brings him out
over Conor?
Oh, I think Canelo. Yeah, I think Canelo kills Conor. Yeah, I think that's a wash. So what about you, Beeb?
Wouldn't even be close. Go ahead, sir. Ask the question.
Who would?
What do I think? Oh, opponent. Oh, opponent.
Right.
I'm sorry, opponent. I got you. Yeah, Canelo would be a good one. Even Danny Garcia, I think, would be a good one. That would be a good fight, right? Put that in Barclays.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, right in New York too. Yeah, that's a good one. Big Irish contingent there. What about you, Robert?
Oh yeah, that would blow up the garden, man. That would be wonderful.
The promoter now. Listen.
Well, yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you guys for having me on the show, man. It's been a while since I talked to Beeb and Ringside Robert, man. You guys, I definitely miss you guys. And Eric, I've been catching your guys' show lately and stuff, and I just want to say you guys put out good content stuff, man. It's really good news, and I really like your guys' podcast, man. I really like what you guys are doing, and just want to thank you guys for having me on the show, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Buddy, you can call in every Sunday. We'll be here.
Absolutely, man.
I will, man. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Sway. Nice to hear from you again, brother.
Awesome call. Very good. And okay, so we were talking about the Conor McGregor thing. We got a surprise for you guys coming out tomorrow when you download the podcast from iTunes, or when Beeb will have it posted on Beating the Odds with Beeb tomorrow. We interviewed Chris Van Heerden, and some of you may know the name, some of you may not know the guy. Chris Van Heerden, of course, is the guy who sparred Conor McGregor in those videos. So all the videos of Conor McGregor sparring, he's sparring Chris Van Heerden. And we talked extensively about Conor McGregor, his skill set, everything like that, what Chris Van Heerden really breaks it down really well. We talked about the sparring session leak and how they kind of did it. It was a real scumbag move the way they did Van Heerden, because and I'll kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. Van Heerden didn't want the video leaked. That was kind of one of his requests to spar with this guy. And they honored it. And they, we're not going to leak it out, but they ended up doing that. Then they ended up, of course, editing it to make him look bad. So just a really lousy thing they did to him. And then also, too, Chris Van Heerden is going to let us know who he fights next. And you're not going to believe who he's going to fight next or who he's trying to fight next. It's amazing. Great interview. Again, that comes out tomorrow. You'll be able to catch it on Monday on Beating the Odds with Beeb, or you can download it if you subscribe to our podcast, Ringside Reporter. You'll be able to download it. It'll come out with you'll be able to get the show today, and you'll also be able to get the interview as well. So also on iTunes. So 323-870-3857 if you want to call in. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines. 508.
Georgie Porgy.
Is that Georgie? Yeah, he's not coming on. Hold on.
Tonight.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, Pie Face?
You'll be my new fool.
I'm gonna hear the hang of that, huh?
Hey, what's up there, London Lane? How you doing, London Lane? What's up, baby?
Hey, Beeb, cheer up, will you? You know?
Clean.
Hey, Big, I heard the Irish community is getting together with the pigs on Fort, guiding a mob to go to your house and check you out, brother. How can you even be talking, living on Boston about McGregor not beating Paulie? That's insane.
I still don't think it happens, man.
You know what? I feel another pie bet coming on if this fight gets signed.
I got the people from the South End scouting me, baby. They're coming after me.
Got a new name for Beeb. We're gonna call him the Doughboy. Listen, guys, we can make a whole show. You guys can make a whole show about McGregor. This is a boxing podcast, and you guys talk about UFC and this and that here, but it's most about boxing. But this man is special. If you ever seen this man fight, you can tell these man's hands are special. This man got power. There is no way I see Paulie Malignaggi. Maybe on his prime, but like the other caller said before me, the man is so far gone that they're not going to make it to the 8th round. Eventually, going to cut. As a matter of fact, if McGregor do the Sean Paul approach and just plow through dude, he may even take it out quick. Just throw power at him. What are you going to do? Hit you with a jab?
Well, you got to think, too, that McGregor's hitting people with 4-ounce gloves.
Jabs in boxing.
And Paulie goes the distance. Paulie's built to go the distance. Not only that, but McGregor's knocking people out with 4-ounce gloves. He's going to have 8-ounce gloves on fight night. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference.
Maybe 10.
Yeah, maybe 10. Maybe 10.
So I don't think McGregor going to listen. McGregor can destroy, I won't say destroy boxing, because boxing being around for so long going to last everybody. But, man, boxing can take a black eye if McGregor cross over and start putting niggas down.
Yeah.
Start laying people out, it's not going to be good for boxing. He's great, and the first pay-per-view going to be phenomenal, whatnot, a lot of hype. But if he start putting all these people down,
I'm really surprised by this.
But let me finish this point. UFC got the people behind it, because there's the other sanctioning about it, like the Gladiator, the other shit that they got in UFC. Nobody like UFC. UFC got the best fighters in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, without question.
The best, most of the time, fight the best. And the pay-per-view, I'm always dope. And most of the time, you don't know who's going to win. How can boxing even compare at this point to UFC? And I'm a boxing guy. But what is real is real. These men cross over. And start putting people down, it's over. So I don't want to see him with no Malignaggi either. You better go for Floyd for the big money, and let's secure a win. If you want to put it against Danny Garcia have lost before we see him lost. I mean, it is what it is, bro. If this man can challenge anybody, for what fight he start fighting what's it like
because the weight division in UFC not the same. But he's around 130 pounds that he started fighting. And he fought all the way to 170. And if you look at this man's prediction, there is a video on the internet called Conor McGregor is from the future. And I click on it. I'm like, this is got to be some bullshit. And then I start listening to the man calling out rounds and telling you what he's going to knock the other person with. This man got the ice. This dude is special, bro. He can come to boxing and do some major damage. So people better start respecting his name when they start talking about Malignaggi. Please, I beat up Malignaggi. And I don't even box. But that's all I got to say about that. Great show. And Billy Joe Saunders, I don't want to see no Billy Joe Saunders. Ugh. I want to see that. Billy Joe Saunders, what this man got, this man's as basic as they come too. Ridiculous. WBO is another mafia, man. Entire dumb. But great show, guys. Always support. I want to tell everybody out there to support. Give you a thumbs up because you guys do this for free. It has to be appreciated. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you, brother, man. It's good hearing from you again. Awesome. Awesome. Love Georgie, man.
Wow. I must say, Eric, I am really surprised. I'm not a UFC guy, but I don't see anything wrong with this at all. I really don't.
I don't either. I mean, look, if it was good enough for James Toney to go over there and get plowed in 30 seconds, and James Toney was a good fighter. I mean, James Toney was a good fighter even when he went. He was still a solid fighter. I mean, multiple times world champion, everything like that. He was, clearly he was past his prime, but he was still, if he connected on Couture's out. He's gone. And Eric, it didn't go well.
Do you remember when James Toney came out and he had the shoulder roll stance?
Yeah.
Right when I saw him coming out with the shoulder roll stance, I was like, oh my God, he did not train for this fight.
Not at all.
He did not do any MMA training. He came out with the Philly shell like this. And his feet, he was in a silhouette. And he didn't even have it, he wasn't even in an MMA stance. He had one foot back of the other, basically inviting a leg sweep. And oh my God, it was horrible.
Couture took him down within 30 seconds with a single leg. Now, good luck. I mean, you don't see that very often in MMA, like just that straight single leg that he put on him. I mean, you see him, grab the leg and shoot, and they grab that leg and then they ride that leg down. That's a little bit different than what happened. I mean, he just kind of grabbed that leg and Toney was off balance. He was gone. There was nothing he could have done about that, within 30 seconds. And that was the fight. At no point at that point, Toney can't land anything meaningful. And Couture, he's a world-class wrestler and just kind of got him and pounded him,
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing we got to consider here, what is Dana White's stance and the UFC? I mean, I still view this as strictly a negotiating play. I don't even know if Conor McGregor actually gets in a boxing ring.
No, he and we'll talk about it. I mean, he applied for a license elsewhere too and was turned down. So, all right, let's go to the phones here. 917. I think this is New York. 917. You're live.
Hey, what's up, Eric? Robbie Beeves. What's up, man? It's Jeff Cotto. What's going on, guys?
How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up, my brother?
All right, guys. All right, everybody. Everything's good, man. God bless all three of you guys, man, and the show as well, man. I'm loving it every week, man.
Thank you.
Well, I just got to say about Conor McGregor. I think that, we all know that the UFC stripped him, of course, right?
Right.
And he wants, some type of partnership within it or whatever. So basically, he's trying to basically do what Mayweather did to boxing and just be the star. And of course he has, but we have to remember, he generated money. Yes, he has. But now it's under new owners, you see. So these guys are trying to keep the belt and all the straps in line for competitiveness. They don't. I guess they don't want to take the company where they have to ride, on one guy's back, because they've seen that fail with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Holly Holmes. So
right.
I think this whole thing of him getting a license is just something where he's like, okay, this is my spade here. I'm gonna cut these bastards if they even dare to not give me my attention that I'm looking for. So he's being a diva. I have nothing against Conor McGregor, he's the king of what he does, MMA. Okay? That's one thing I want to get out the way. But now let's just say, like a what if comic from Marvel, right? What if now, if he decides to come to boxing? I feel Paulie Malignaggi, and I don't feel anybody should disrespect this man. Regardless, he has whispers in his fists. You know, we all know that. But he has great movement, great boxing skill, and this would be his craft. I feel that, you know, Conor McGregor has an amateur background, but he just doesn't have enough. I mean, anybody, you know, like us guys, of course, and any other hardcore who have actually seen greats with their own eyes, the movement, you know, just basically the whole pedigree. We can see that Conor McGregor would not, and I repeat, would not be able to stand for 36 minutes, okay, and 3 minutes for 12 rounds. He would not be able to do it. It's a whole different mechanic. Also, because, you know, it's UFC. It's like what he goes to championship rounds, which is like 5 rounds, I think, or 3 rounds, 5-minute rounds, right? They're able to grapple and hold and rest for the seconds that they have. In boxing, you can't do that. You can't, even when you got somebody pinned on the ropes and you're working your inside game, you're still moving. You're still, you know, trying to gain position to hit to the body inside, you know, up top. It would be very stressful for Conor. He would not be ready. Now, that training that he does for MMA, the boxing works for that type of martial art.
Right.
Boxing is a whole different martial art. It's totally different. So basically, if he was to get, I mean, look, he wouldn't even get the Floyd fight. Let's just say if that came up and he got his you know, Nevada license or whatever, he would not even get that simply because of one reason. He would not be able to. He doesn't even generate 100 million. There's no other stone to throw on the negotiation table over at the UFC. There's no negotiation stone he has for another, let's just say, off Mayweather's Pacquiao. That's why it generated so much. It wasn't, you know, he doesn't have that other, you know, I mean, he may be ducking 2 or 3 guys or whatever, but that's still not warm enough. You know what I mean? Now, if he was to get this, the savant that Mayweather is within the ring, he would totally destroy. Okay, he would destroy Conor McGregor. And Conor McGregor, I feel, would not go back to UFC because he got his payday, and they wouldn't give him the star treatment he wants. That's just my take on this whole McGregor thing. You know what I mean?
It's like a one-off. You know, he wants that big payday. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
This is the thing that I'm looking at too. I think that Conor McGregor is disgruntled when he sees what Floyd Mayweather makes, and not even what Floyd Mayweather makes, but other top boxers make. Right. You know, even Andre Ward making $5 million, which is good for Andre Ward. I'm not disparaging him at all. Making $5 million. Well, how much does Conor McGregor make a fight? I think he makes a couple million a fight. I don't think he makes like 10, 20 million.
Yeah, I think he does.
You know,
they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, he makes.
No, they're saying he's making like around 10 million. For his, I know for his fight against Diaz, his first fight against Diaz, he was over 10 million. That's what he was saying. He was over 10 million. His second fight was Diaz, smashed all kinds of records. He was up there. I mean, yeah, he's up there. Now, is he getting like, you know, 20, 30, 40 million a fight? No, probably not. But I mean, he's getting paid. He's getting paid more than on most of them.
But this is where I'm going. This is where I'm going with this. Let's look at our top stars. Mayweather averages 40 million a fight. Pacquiao, 20 million a fight. Canelo, if he's in the right fight, he can get 15, 20 million himself. So do you think he's looking at? Do you think he's looking at all the money that's being made over in this side of the combat sports realm, and he's kind of disgruntled that, hey, you know what? I'm making 10 million a fight, which is great. When am I going to get that 20 million? When am I going to get that 30 million? When am I going to get that?
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but because I'm a total boxing guy. But isn't UFC killing us in the pay-per-view realm?
They're killing him.
Isn't he the highest paid star over there already?
Him and Rousey.
Exactly. Yeah. The reason why UFC is killing us and fans is only because of the competitiveness. I've been saying this about boxing for the longest. Okay. And I say this again, there's a difference between a prize fighter and a legacy fighter. And people used to follow legacy fighters, you know, and because they were never worried. It was all about the politics. Ever since they built the politics, Mayweather era, ever since that's become an A side, B side, we didn't care about any of that. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. We knew he was getting his money, but we didn't care until after he fought whoever was in front of him, you know, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, which happened to be a great legacy fighter and prize fighter because he got his money too, you know. So it's just to the point that the competitiveness is being sold over the mighty dollar. And these guys rather have light fights, you know, like a Danny Garcia, you know, or, you know, oh yeah, I reflect myself on the greats. Yeah, but you're basically cherry picking because you're fighting guys that are green. You want a title, you know, in a freaking a vacant title against Robert the Gate Guerrero. I mean, come on. And then, you know, then people want to say, oh yeah, well, you know, he's actually a great star. You know, he's one of, no, he's not one of the, he has not done anything at 147. Okay. He has diminished his pedigree, and I feel that when he meets Keith Thurman, I just want to get this out the way, Keith Thurman is going to beat the brakes off him. But then that's his fault because he should have been going up against an even or even much greater pedigree within a fighter and fighting his mandatories. You know, he was a beast at 140, but and then we all saw his decline. It's all about the money. He lost his competitive edge. So that's why now, like Peter Quillen, when he fought Daniel Jacobs, you know, he was all about the money too. He said, oh yeah, I'm getting this. Then look what happened. He got beat up in the first round. They stopped it on him because he couldn't, you know, the ref, oh my God, this guy got punched in the face so hard for the first time in his life. He met competitiveness, and these guys aren't ready for that. They all about the money, you know, and it's just ridiculous. Just this big thing, you know. This is why that, you know, most of these fans want to see a competitive fight. So it's also the demand. Okay. Oh, you know, they write to UFC. Yeah, we want to see Conor against Diaz now. And hey, let's do it. And Conor's smart because he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with Diaz. But they should have milked it even more. You know what I'm saying? It would have made even more money. They would have been able to make, but they just threw it right. The high demand. See, that's their formula there. Boxing needs to come back to the competitive, and it's coming back. 2017, we've got some badass matches, gentlemen.
Really
we've
good
got
fights.
2017, I think, is going to show the competitiveness again. And once we get that competitive edge inside, and you know, we have more legacy fighters like Lomachenko, like Terrence Crawford, you know, because Top Rank doesn't give much about it. But look at the star that Terrence Crawford is becoming. And everybody, oh yeah, he's fighting John Molina. Oh, Nick, don't sleep on Molina because he's a big puncher. And Terrence Crawford, you know, he beat the brakes off of Postao, you know, and he showed us that he can also be evasive as well as being aggressive. So this kid has much more to show us. And he's caring about unifications. He's caring about, and that's a legacy fighter. These prize fighters of today, these cereal box fighters, these guys are all about the money. They're all about the money. And the moment you throw somebody, yeah, and once you throw somebody competitive in their way, they lose it in there. You know, look what happened with Maidana and Mayweather, the first fight. That the second fight, you know, Mayweather had to take away his inside fighting. Every time he went on the inside, he was told he couldn't, and that took his game away. But the first fight, we all saw what happened. You see, and even Mayweather said, "Yeah, I give myself a C+ or a C-, whatever it was." It's the competitive edge. There's a lot of fighters out there that are being held back because, you know, look at Guillermo Rigondeaux. He made a big mistake. He should have stood with Top Rank because at least he had a big following in Macau, China. And what does he do? Sign with Rock Nation, and he's shelved. He's shelved. So now what happens? What happens to these competitive fighters? It got them to the point of being so jealous and so hungry and you know, full of now boxing greed that they're just like, oh yeah, it takes it. You know, you have to be Caucasian to be called. You know, like everything, like this anger is coming out because they made their own mistake for chasing the mighty dollar instead of being competitive and letting the dollar come to you.
Right.
This is what's happening.
This
is what's happening. And Beebs, Eric, Robbie, we with our own eyes. I've been watching boxing since '82. Okay, I'm 42 years old. My own eyes, your own eyes, guys. Our eyes have seen the greats. Okay, even when we took it back, when we were studying and looking at Marciano era and Colin Basilio and Danny Lopez era. I mean, you got to, you know, we all know about the murderer's run, right? Do you think most of these guys do? No. This is why the casual boxing fight, because now it's all about money, and it's the money should come. If you know, this is why I love Top Rank. This is why I feel that Mayweather left Top Rank, because once Bob Arum told him, look, you got to fight for your money. Oh, no. And what happened? He made the biggest point. Now everybody's following that. But these guys that are on the Top Rank, it's all competitive edge, and they get their due. They get their fame to the point that they have a stone to throw on the negotiation table to say, listen, this is what I'm worth. I'm making you money for real. So let's do it. And that's how it's done. That's how the pay-per-view model comes back. That's how everything comes back to normal. Is if they say to themselves, I'm not going to sell out for all this money. I put on boxing gloves because I wanted to be like Ali. I wanted to be like Marciano. I wanted to be like Basilio. I wanted to fight. That's what it's about. You got, we're not throwing money bands at each other in these rings. You know what I mean? And it's dangerous. Yes, I understand. But at the same time, a football player, a quarterback, risks concussions. So does the linebacker, right? Look how many times in baseball a pitcher gets hit by his own ball being hit, struck in the face. Things happen. So when you put these gloves on, you know that you're going to get hurt. It's the hurt business. I'm tired of these guys that have no idea of what the hurt business is within the boxing game because they haven't been punched in the face just yet. You know what I'm saying? They haven't been tested. Baptism under fire. Whatever happened to that? You know what I mean?
I've got to ask you a question. This is a great call. Are you a Triple G supporter?
Yeah, I am. I consider him to be one of the legacy fighters. Look, it's not his fault that he's fighting whoever's being thrown in front of him. So, okay, Canelo could bully at 155, which is he's really 168, close to 170 for Christ's sake, but it's okay for him to kill himself, right? And he's going to get sick if he keeps dehydrating himself the way he's doing just to hold a 155 realm that doesn't even exist. He's going to kill himself. So now when you get to this point where, okay, Canelo could fight Khan, but now Brook, who's much more competitive, IBF, okay, welterweight champion, comes out, and I say for a round and a half, okay, he exposed Gennady a little bit, not as much, right? Now all of a sudden he took it and he gave a pretty good fight because he showed brilliance. He showed he could fight off the back foot as well, which is something we've rarely seen. Now all of a sudden it's like, it's a double standard. GGG's fighting welterweights. Okay, no problem. Look, Mayweather has said about Triple G, he's not moving up to test himself. Why doesn't he? He has tested himself. The man is unified. He's tested himself every time he steps in the ring. He's got like 3 titles. He needs 1 more. Well, actually 2 more, should I say? He got Daniel Jacobs, which I hope, and that's going to be one hell of a fight. Which I think Daniel Jacobs has the tools to give Triple G a bad day at the office. And then you got Saunders, the cover girl, who's holding on to the title. And look at me. Look what happened yesterday, right? But that's exactly what I was saying about the prize fighting thing. Sitting back, holding the title, and then look what happened. You really got washed yesterday, and it was a terrible, terrible decision, man. They robbed that man, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Triple G right now, to me, is a legacy fighter. He's wanting to unify. I feel like once he beats Daniel Jacobs, and we're all gonna excuse him for not fighting Saunders because Saunders doesn't want to fight him. He's not ready for him. Even though Saunders saying, I need a tune-up. That was supposed to be a tune-up, dummy. And what happened? So it is what it is. So now when he goes to 168, and hopefully after 168, he'll go all the way up to maybe 175 and finally fight Andre Ward, which is something I would like to see before I become 55. You know what I mean? I would love to see that fight. You know what I mean? But nobody could blame Triple G for the opponent selection that he has now. Okay? Neither the other ones like Joshua, and these guys are taking their time. They're taking their time and they're doing what they have to do. But now, if you're a world champion and you're fighting guys that are like ranked 77, 42, like, come on, that's everything within the realm of cherry pie, cherry little nibs, whatever it is. That's cherry picking. That's something that's a no-no. But it's all about the money now. I just want to reach one more thing, man. I want to tell people, in your era, any new boxing fans, casuals, you guys are listening. Pay attention to Shannon Briggs. You know why? Because in my grandfather's era, my father's era, they had George Foreman. Even reached my era, our era, right? So now we have a modern day 45-year-old, okay, who's on a George Foreman title run and keeps getting jerked around. Everybody needs to back Shannon the Cannon Briggs up and open their eyes and see that you have a veteran, and it's always fun to have a veteran within the heavyweight ranks or whatever ranks it is, especially coming back and having 9 wins under his belt already, doing what David Hayes said, and then after that he's got to chase David Hayes within the Barclay complex and embarrass him. And same thing with Vladimir Klitschko. These guys are scared of the vet because they know that he still has the goods. He's not – look, everybody knows that Shannon Briggs was a first-round king. And just because, you know, he got washed at a young age against, you know, Foreman and Klitschko, one of the, it doesn't matter. He's here now. He's impressive wins. He's the one that brought back the calling out. You know what I mean? So you guys have to understand, and your era guys, everybody that's listening to Ringside Report, this great show, back your man up. This is your veteran. This is your George Foreman in your era. Okay, so you guys got to back this guy up and have him. He wants to fight. You guys want excitement. You guys want a lot of crashing and a lot of. You want to know the sweet side. I'm telling you, man. This man needs to have his run within the heavyweight ranks, because if you imagine him against anybody, Chisora, you know, Areola, you know, then maybe later on, Joshua, it's gonna be competitive because we all know what he brings. So that's all I wanted to say, guys, man. Thank you very much, man, for letting me have a floor.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. What a call.
You got it, brother.
Yeah, right? What a call, man.
Thank you, Jay.
Great call. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to 812. 812, you're live.
Eric, Robbie, Beef, how you guys doing? This is Joe.
What's up, buddy?
Joe.
Hey, Robbie, man.
Have you been in the missing persons report or what? Yeah.
Hey, Robbie, why'd you got to beat my team up like that last night, Robbie? I thought we were friends.
Hey, 138, 109, brother. That's the way it goes.
It's been brutal, man. No, guys, it's been a while. I just want to call and just, say, see how you guys doing. But I don't know. I just got in a while back, I just tuned in about 20 minutes ago. But, man, did you guys touch on that boxer that got killed? He ended up passing away today, Ed Brown from Chicago.
We didn't know. We didn't touch on it yet. But let me tell you the story here. The top prospect was Ed Brown. And he got shot yesterday. He got shot in the head. And yesterday he was he was fighting for his life. Today he had actually passed. I just read this a few minutes ago, right before we came on here, that he actually passed away today. He was critically wounded in a shooting in Chicago's East Garfield Park neighborhood on the west side early Saturday. Said that around 1:10 a.m., around 1:10, he was sitting with his 19-year-old sister in a parking lot, parked car in the 3200 block of West Warren, when a silver car pulled up with someone inside and just opened fire, man. Brown was shot in the head and taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. His sister was shot in the leg. She's in good condition. But yeah, they just rolled up on him. The manager, Michael Caracola, said that they just he was heading home from the gym when he was shot. He said they just rolled up on him and opened fire. Now I said 1:10. I believe it was 11:10 a.m. I thought it was earlier, so that might be a typo on my part. But yeah, they just rolled up on him, opened fire. He got shot in the head, and unfortunately, man, just sad situation, man. He passed away today. So our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with his family and sister.
It's hard. It's heartbreaking news, and especially when you hear that he was coming from the gym. It's not like he was coming.
Right.
Even if he was coming out from a party or whatever, or a club, it doesn't matter. But it just Chicago's dangerous, man.
Doing something positive.
The crimes out there in that city, it's just been going. It's been bananas, man. But it's just. I hear there was a fighter I used to follow out of Chicago. I believe it was Juan Diaz. Was it Juan Diaz, a famous fighter? He fought Pacquiao back in like
Baby Bull Diaz, yeah, Juan Baby Bull.
David Diaz.
Who?
David Diaz.
David Diaz.
David Diaz from Chicago. Yeah, he was talking highly of Ed Brown. I mean, he was saying that he saw this kid had gifts back in when he first started, and I could tell he was taking it hard. I don't know if he worked out with him in the gym, but he was just talking highly of him. But yeah, it's just a bummer, man, when you hear stuff like this, But
it's horrible.
No, guys, I'll just hopefully we get change the subject here a little bit. We got some good fights coming up. I really haven't been following as much as far as news. I mean, I've been following the big fights and all that, but. As soon as this Thurman Garcia comes around, I'm starting to get excited. Then I'm also getting excited for, I know this fight really doesn't have anything meaningful as far as the belts, but I like the Victor Ortiz versus Brandon Rios. Because that's a real life beef, and they're finally going to be able to settle that in the ring. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And Eric, I don't know if you saw, but on PBC, if you follow them on Facebook, they announced fights coming up, and they got Broner scheduled in on February 11th.
Yeah, he's fighting. Who is he fighting?
They haven't.
It's some it's a no-name guy. Let me see if I can find it here.
He's fighting
Granados, yeah, Granados. Yeah, and okay, so
Eric,
there's
I hope it's in Cincinnati though, because I may make that. I'm gonna take that 2-hour drive up there to come check it out. Hopefully it's in Cincinnati.
It's got to be in Cincinnati. I mean, what's he gonna do? Fight that guy in Vegas? You know, nobody's gonna come to that fight.
Yeah,
it's got to be in Cincy, man.
Yeah,
so, and I mean, the plan is if he beats that guy, it's Ricky Burns coming up next.
So what weight is he at? Is he still at the 140? 140? He's not.
He's still at 140. Yeah, he's still dabbling around there, but he can't make the weight. That's the crazy part. That he has trouble making that weight. You know. Yeah, and it hasn't been announced yet. It's for Showtime on February 11th. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the tough part about him, man.
Let me touch on the McGregor deal. Like for me, honestly, I've been reading on there. I know boxing right now is kind of just got a lot of negativity going on, and especially with McGregor coming over. But I don't know, maybe this would be good for the sport. Maybe we can spice it up a little bit, get some excitement, or just the what if factor. What if he comes in and like Georgie said earlier, what if he comes in and knocks out a boxer? I mean, I think we need some type of excitement, and I mean this would be pretty good. I don't know if he would even consider fighting Paulie. I know Paulie's real active on social media, but I don't know. But I think I would tune in, be honest with you, just to see, and just the whole factor that you had the MMA versus boxing type. I mean, that'll be exciting. I think we need something fresh, man, something new, because the politics is starting to, just the same old pay-per-views, and we need something just to switch it up a little bit. So I'm actually looking forward to it, but I'm just waiting. Just called in to check in with you guys, man, and I'll be listening to hear your breakdown on the fights. We got some big ones coming up this weekend, so
absolutely.
Hopefully we can end the year with a bang, and then start off the new year with some. I know Thurman Garcia is not to March. That's the one I'm really looking forward to. But hopefully we can get something in like February or January too. So
hey, in January we got Frampton, Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I'm glad Showtime, I mean, I like it on regular cable too, but I'm glad Showtime picked these fights up, because normally they'll show on Showtime Extreme, they'll plug in the undercard. So you can really watch like 4 or 5 fights total. So that's why I'm kind of glad that Showtime picked it up. But hey, Eric, I want to, and Abib and Robin, want to plug something real quick. I've been reading a lot of old school books, and I just purchased Sonny Liston's book, man. It just came out about a month ago, man, and it's some good stuff, man. I mean, I knew he was a tough dude, but some of the stuff when he moved to Las Vegas, man, he was basically living like a mobster, man. But that's a good read if you're really into reading up on history about boxers and stuff.
What's the name of it?
Let me go grab it real quick. It's I've got it right here. Give me 1 second. It's called. I've been reading so many books. Okay, it's The Murder of Sonny Liston, Las Vegas, Heroin, and Heavyweights by Sean Assel.
Wow.
It's
good.
at Barnes and Nobles now, so that one's pretty good. And then it's just one of the books you can't put down. I mean, I've been breezing through it. I've been buying so many books, and
I'll have to add that to my list.
Yeah, you got to get that one. That Luke Google book is solid too. But I heard they just dropped a Marvis Hagler book, but it's not at the Barnes and Nobles out here, so I'm gonna have to order it. But I just highly recommend this one here on this on the Tommy Hearns, man. I mean on the Sonny Liston book. It's real good. Yeah. So, but that's all I got, guys. Good to hear from you guys, and keep up the good work, and then I'll be checking in soon, man.
All right, man. We appreciate it.
Robbie, what a year for you, man. Your Raiders look like they're gonna march to the Super Bowl, man.
Hey, we're 10-2, brother. We play Kansas City Thursday night. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Hey, Eric and Beeb, if the Raiders make it to the Super Bowl, you guys got to fly Robbie down there, man. He can't miss the Super Bowl, man.
I ain't flying him down there. I'll tell you that.
Take care, though. Okay.
Unless the Bengals are in the Super Bowl, I ain't going. All right, I'm not even paying attention to it. Stupid right, Mike Nugent.
See you later.
See you later, man.
Our kicker just sucks. Just sucks. Guy misses extra points left and
we
right.
got one of the greatest of all
Oh,
time,
yay.
Sebastian Janikowski.
Oh, good for you.
There you go. Great. You and Sebastian
There you
Janikowski.
go.
How about that? Yay. All right. Let's talk about the upcoming fights here, man. Okay. December 10th. Robbie, that's Saturday, correct?
Yeah, our Saturday is going to be full, man.
All right. That sounds good. That's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. Terrence Crawford versus John Molina. 12 rounds for Crawford's WBO, WBC junior welterweight title. This will be in Omaha, Nebraska on HBO. And on the undercard there, Raimondo Beltran versus Mason Menard, 10 rounds lightweights. A lot of good things about Mason Menard, so I doubt they'll show it, but maybe we can catch it on the undercard somewhere. Catch it on Cody, maybe you can catch the undercard.
I hope they do, because Mason Menard's a good fighter. I've seen him several times on Showbox.
Yeah, we hear nothing but good things about him. We see nothing but good things from him. So, but, you know, I just read the next line down, of course. It says HBO same-day tape. Joseph Parker versus Andy Ruiz Jr., 12 rounds for the vacant WBO heavyweight title. Let's stay here for a second, man. What? Because I think Crawford is going to dust Molina. I think Molina's best days are behind him.
Absolutely.
That's a complete wash. Crawford gets rid of that guy within 6 rounds. No way that fight goes a distance. That's a wash. But I'll tell you what's interesting. It's this Joseph Parker fight. And Joseph Parker versus Andy Ruiz Jr. I think this is a good fight. I originally thought Joseph Parker was going to dust this guy, but the more and more I hear Parker, you know, Parker's given Ruiz a lot of respect, man. And not that that's bad. Not that it's bad to give your opponent, but almost like paying homage to him. You know what I mean? And Andy Ruiz, I mean, I know he's a big hitter and I know he's a big guy and everything, but you know, I don't know which way to go now, because I was heavily leaning toward Parker, man. But the way he's talking, almost like sounds like scared talk to me. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just gamesmanship.
Eric,
I mean,
one thing I can tell you, he's been working out up at Big Bear with Golovkin and crew. I wonder if John David Jackson has taken over training Andy Ruiz, because if he has, obviously we've seen what he's been able to do with a guy like Triple G. I wonder if it'll make a difference. Because I, like you, I thought Parker would walk right over him, but I did hear that he's up at Big Bear and he's working with not John David Jackson. What's Golovkin's trainer? Abel Sanchez.
Abel Sanchez. Yeah.
Abel Sanchez. So yeah, if he's working out with that crew and stuff like that, it could be a lot closer fight than what you think.
Yeah. You know, and it's in New Zealand. It's in Auckland, New Zealand, which is Parker's hometown. I don't know if it's his hometown, but it's definitely his home country. You know,
yeah,
which could be a blessing or a curse, you know. I mean, it's not you know, it's not set in,
right.
I mean, that's always a tough balance there when you fight at your hometown. You know, you got people asking you for tickets, you got cousins coming out of the woodwork that you haven't talked to in 50 years. You know, I mean, you know, friends that you didn't know you had. You know, it's got to be a lot of you know, it's got to be tough. Beeb, what do you think of this fight? How do you break this fight down here?
Mention it one more time, because I was in the chat there.
We were talking about Andy Ruiz and Joseph Parker.
I like Parker in that one, to be honest with you. But Andy Ruiz is definitely a slickster. He's pretty good defensively, but I don't know, man. I just don't think that. I don't think he's going to be able to keep Joseph Parker off. And Joseph Parker's got a dynamite right hand, and every time he hits someone with it, he gets puts their lights out. So I don't know. I like Parker in that one, but it could be interesting, like you said. Ruiz could hang in there for a while because he is kind of elusive, but you know, the conditioning is always going to be a factor with him. Comes into the ring very heavy.
That's why I don't know if you heard me, Beeb. That's why I pointed out he's up at Big Bear with Abel Sanchez and Gennady Golovkin and that crew up there. So I wonder if it's going to make a difference.
I don't know. I'm going to have to take a look at how he's, his physical appearance, at the weigh-in to kind of. I'm going to go with Parker regardless. I think Parker's a good fighter, man. I like Parker.
Yeah, I was leaning toward Parker too, man. But like I said, man, his pre-fight demeanor kind of worries me Let's talk about. All right, let's move ahead here to Showtime here. HBO, of course, has got Parker and Ruiz and Crawford and Molina. I'll tell you what, Showtime's got it stacked, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to lean on Davey Boy Essex here because this is a dynamite card right here, and I know they're only showing probably one fight out of it. It looks like they're going to show one fight out of it. From Manchester, England, Anthony Joshua versus Eric Molina, 12 rounds for Joshua's IBF heavyweight title. I think Joshua gets rid of this guy fairly easy. Robert, what are your thoughts?
No, I think Joshua wins, but like I've said several places, and including here in the past, I give Eric Molina a lot of credit for taking this fight because he showed up in Alabama, what was it, a year ago, and gave Deontay Wilder 9 tough rounds before Wilder could put him away. So I don't think this is going to be easy, but I do think Joshua will come out the winner.
You think he decisions him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he knocks him out, but I like Wilder, I think it's going to take him a while.
I think he knocks him out early. B, what are your thoughts?
Oh, okay.
If the over-under is 3, I'm taking the under. And Joshua will stop him.
What is the over? What is the over-under on it?
I'll have to check the line. I don't think it's up yet, but I know it's going to be low.
Yeah.
Who did he fight?
He's going to kill Molina.
Who he fought? What's his name? Yeah. Who's the guy he fought that he won the title off of? What was his name there?
Prince Charles, wasn't it?
He fought Charles Martin.
Prince Charles Martin.
Charles Martin. Yeah, he fought Charles Martin, and the over/under in that fight was like I think it was like 5 rounds.
Yo,
and I took the under, and I got paid.
It ended in 2.
Joshua's going to dust this guy, man. This, going and we talk about the jitters when you got a British fighter coming here. Same deal. They're very different fighters over there, So when you go over there in front of that country and they're screaming and they're carrying on, it's a different animal. Molina's never experienced anything like that. He's going to get dusted. I'm with B, man. 3 rounds or less, man. No way Molina makes it out of there. None. And let me tell you about the undercard, man. The undercard is a killer.
Hey, I think Joshua wins. I just don't think it's. I hope it doesn't end that early. That'd be disappointing. Of course, that also shows how good Joshua really is if he does that.
You know what? All right. Well, do you think so though? I mean, because I'm not 100% sold on that. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's been knocked out, who's been through the ringer a couple times. Now you're sending him to England to get sacrifice to Anthony Joshua. I don't necessarily. I mean, I know a lot of people are going to use this as a measuring stick for Joshua, but let's call it what it is, man. This is a tune-up fight for Klitschko. That's all it is, and there's nothing more to it.
Right.
Molina doesn't have a shot in this fight. I mean, he just doesn't.
I agree.
And whether Joshua takes care of him in 3 rounds or takes care of him in 6, he's going to be compared to Wilder and what Wilder did with him. But it's 2 different fights. You're fighting this guy, going to his home country. That's a big difference right there, man.
That's true.
The next fight on that card was Dillian White versus Derek Chisora, 12 rounds for White's British heavyweight title. It's also a WBC eliminator. I like this fight a lot, man. I can't wait to see this, man. Both of those guys, big guys. They don't like each other. I love it, man. B, give me your take on this fight?
Oh, it's gonna be a great fight, man. I don't know, man. I just think it's gonna be a great fight. Man.
Do you think White's gonna be able? Go ahead.
I don't know. I like Dillian White a lot, and I've always said this. This is what I said about Dillian White because people thought that when Joshua beat him, they're like, oh, this guy is just nothing, whatever. This was a stepping stone for Joshua, but Dillian White did very well in that fight.
Yeah, I thought he did too.
And I'm just saying, you put him in there with, anyone else besides Joshua, and I think he can hold his own. I honestly believe he can hold his own with anyone in that, in the heavyweight division.
And Dillian White lasted 7 rounds against Joshua, and most people don't do that these days.
Wow, they're dumping all over this fight in the chat. They're dumping all over. It said Chisora White could be a 12-round non-event They're dumping all over it in the chat. Boy, they don't like the fight at all.
I mean, it's gonna be a great fight. I'm actually leaning towards White, but I think it's going to be a great fight.
We got to keep it positive, man, because we know it has that potential. We know it has the potential to, not be the greatest fight on the planet. So we got to try to keep it positive and hope for the best here, man. So the guys in the chat, man, just hope for keep your fingers crossed for this fight, man. Luis Concepcion.
I think it's a good fight, man.
I think so too, man. I think so too. Luis Concepcion will also be on the card. He's fighting Khalid Yafai. Heard a lot of good things about Yafai, man. 12 rounds for Concepcion's WBA junior bantamweight title. I would think if you ask the guys in the chat, Yafai will be favored. Maybe not in the odds game, but they're gonna, I've been hearing a lot of stuff on this guy. So we'll see what happens. Callum Smith versus Luke Blackledge. Scott Quigg also on the card. He's fighting Jose Cayetano. Louis Ortiz is on the card fighting David Allen. Katie Taylor is on the card, making her second pro fight. Connor Ben on the card versus Joshua. This thing is stacked from top to bottom, man. And we're going to see one fight out of, man. Listen, if you need a reason to go get Cody, this is the reason to go get Cody. So you can get Box Nation and watch all these fights, man. Come on.
Can I ask you a question? Where are all these fights going to be? In the UK, baby, I told you.
Also,
but Showtime's got a great nighttime card too. So.
They absolutely do. Also, too, Showtime at night. Jesus Cuellar versus Abner Mares. 12 rounds for Cuellar's WBA regular featherweight title. And then on the undercard there, this is the big one, man. This is the one that, honestly, man, I think everybody's waiting for, and I'm surprised it's on the undercard. Jamal Charlo versus Julian J. Rock Williams. 12 rounds for Charlo's IBF junior middleweight title. That's a fight, man. This is a tough one.
Well, I tell you what, Eric, I'm rocking the Rock all night long. I think he goes in there and he schools Charlo.
This is great. This is great. Leslie Scott in the chat said about the British card. He said it's an Eddie Hearn special. Mismatches galore. As your boy, the best promoter in boxing, son. Best promoter in boxing, son. Katie Taylor signed with him. She ain't gonna be on TV again.
Well, I think
I rely on. I gotta rely on Davey Boy Essex to show me Katie Taylor.
I think he wins that title.
I think so too, Robert. I think that Julian Williams takes care of Charlo. But here's the rub, man. I don't know that he knocks him out. I think it's going to be a decision. And I think it could very, very well be a close fight. I just think Williams is a little bit too powerful, a little bit too skilled. But that's not to say Charlo isn't either. I mean, they're both. It's a very even fight, man. But I still got to lean toward Julian Williams, man. I think he cracks it, and I think he wins that title. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Beeb, who do you got?
I like Julian Williams, man. I think he's more complete. And I think this is why I like Julian Williams. Because I just think that, again, when I go assess a fighter, I like, a guy who could do multiple things. I think he's just more well-rounded. Because Julian Williams could fight awesome on the outside, decent on the outside. And, I just think Charlo is an outside guy, man. I think his inside game is lacking. And I think Williams could definitely chop him up in the inside. And that's why I think that, it's gonna be a tough fight for Charlo, because Williams can dig to the body, can shoot those uppercuts. He's just a really, really good inside fighter, and he's big and he's tall. And it's very rare that you see a guy with that height and length that can really shorten up the shots like Julian Williams can on the inside. And he's heavy-handed. He's heavy-handed, and he's hungry. You know what I mean? I'm not so sure. I'm not going to question Charlo's heart or anything, but I'm not so sure he's overly enthused about this fight, because he seems like he kind of put it off as long as he could, and now he's got no choice but to fight him. And Williams has been really chomping at the bit for this title fight. He's been calling out everyone, and he's had to wait for a long time. And I think that added hunger is going to play into this fight. And I just think that I like him in this fight. I think that he's going to grind him down. And I wouldn't be surprised if Williams didn't stop him.
Interesting. Also on that undercard, Erickson Lubin versus Juan Cabrera, 8 rounds. Again, you probably won't see that fight. But the big one, this is the big one. Robert, your boy, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. This is on BN Sports in Espanol from Monterrey, Mexico. My old stomping grounds. My old stomping grounds of Monterrey, Mexico. Your boy, Robert, it's your boy. You know it's your boy. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Dominic Britsch. 10 rounds, super middleweights. Your boy's making a comeback, son. He's on the road back.
Yeah, I'll believe it when he actually fights somebody real.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. And then let's see here from Miami, Oklahoma. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. From Miami, Oklahoma, we have Ivan Baranchek versus Wilbert Lopez, 10 rounds, junior welterweights, and Trey Lippy Morrison versus Ty Cobb, 6 rounds, heavyweights. Now, Trey was supposed to call in tonight, and hey, I guess he big timed us. I don't know. I don't know what happened. So good luck to you. And let's see here. Yeah, Robert. Let's see what else here. That's it. That's it for the fights this weekend. That's it for the fights. All right, let's go to the phones here. Area code 404. You're on.
Area code 404, you're on.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, man? Who am I speaking with?
Who's this?
This is Mel from Atlanta. I've been listening to you guys for a little bit, like the show.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Glad to have you on. What's on your mind?
Habib knows it. Not too much. Just trying to figure out this whole Conor McGregor thing. What's going on with that? I think a good matchup for him would be a guy like Adrian Bronner, and the promotion on that would probably be crazy.
Could you imagine the promotion on that? My God. God, can you just think about that for a minute?
God.
Let me talk about this for a second. Let me jump in, because since you brought up Conor McGregor again, because he's in the news. So everybody knows that this week he caused quite a stir. He received a license to box in the state of California. He was actually turned down. He applied to Las Vegas as well, and he was actually turned down for a boxing license in Las Vegas. Leonard Ellerby, Floyd's manager, came out and said it didn't mean anything and that Floyd is retired. Paulie Malignaggi came out in the woodwork and said he would fight McGregor. McGregor got wind of all this and let loose at a press conference when someone asked him about Paulie Malignaggi. Quote, "Who the F is that guy?" Conor responded. Conor originally said Floyd called him out, and he doesn't give an F about Floyd. He also referred to Leonard Ellerby as Floyd's fat manager. So I think that, my gut feeling on this is that it's a bargaining chip, because Dana White has come out and said he doesn't know what Conor's doing. He said Conor does what Conor's going to do. He said, I don't know anything about it, but he's still under contract with the UFC. And as long as he's under contract with the UFC, there's nothing, he can't go anywhere without Dana White say so. And he's right. He can't fight. Now, the one thing that they're talking about, and I don't even think this is possible, is if they do an exhibition. If they do an exhibition, then, it's possible. It's possible. If they do like a 5-round exhibition, it's possible that maybe he can fight without the UFC's blessing. However, the exhibition, the meaning of an exhibition, I believe, is when neither party is really trying to win. Maybe you can speak on that a little better than I can.
Party gets paid either.
That I'm not 100% sure of, but I understand that it can't be like a classic competition in that sense. So, with an exhibition, he could probably collect money, but I don't know how he gets past that, because I'm sure in the UFC they've got something in his contract saying you're not going anywhere. You're not. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So Mel, what are your thoughts on that after you hear that on the Conor McGregor? I know you'd like to see him fight Adrian Bronner, Cincinnati's own, and who doesn't want to see Adrian Bronner fight? I mean, he's from Cincinnati. You got to love him. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread around here. But Adrian Bronner's got,
Well, I just
go ahead.
I'd want to see the face off for that one, just to hear the type of trash talk and just see where that goes.
Do you think, though? I mean, let me ask you, though.
I think
Do you think that McGregor has a shot against, like, say, a guy like Malignaggi? You know, like an aging fighter like that. And, I mean, do you think he has a shot against Malignaggi?
Well, McGregor has been an underdog, you know, before, you know, recently. A lot
Absolutely.
in his life. And if he focuses his energy on boxing and just boxing, I think he could beat a top. I wouldn't want to see him fight Paulie. I'd rather see him fight like a bigger name just to kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'd just be a big event. It'd be a much bigger event. What about Canelo? Canelo might kill him though. I don't know.
Oh, Canelo would kill that guy. Canelo would just dust him. But I would still pay to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine? You know?
If you think about it, Canelo, who has Canelo recently beaten who was favored against him, or like what top level fighter has Canelo beaten who we thought he was gonna lose to or was an underdog to?
The last time I think Canelo was an underdog was Mayweather. Wasn't it? That was the last time, wasn't it? Because he's got to be favored.
The last time, and of course, Mayweather's destiny.
Yeah, so like I mean I like Canelo, but I mean I think he's a little bit overhyped because even the guys he's beaten like Laura and Cotto, some people felt like he lost the fight. I don't know.
Well, that's why I want to see him fight Triple G. I want to see Canelo deal with somebody like that.
Yeah, me too. Where he's an actual underdog, or I think if he beats Triple G, he would earn that cash cow label and the best fighter that they give him. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Very good, man. Very good.
But that's all I got, guys. That's a good show.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Call back again, man.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Good call. Good call. Mel from Atlanta. All right, so let's move into it. Let's talk about the news and rumors here. All right, so that was the big one. I think that was the big one. Let me tell you another big story that happened this week. The Ward-Kovalev numbers are in the pay-per-view. All right, this is pretty good. If you were wondering what the Ward-Kovalev pay-per-view, would it get a high rating because these are two of the best pound-for-pound guys? Think again. Kevin Iole of Yahoo Sports reported that the buy rate for Kovalev Ward is around 160,000 buys. In case you're wondering, that number sucks. All right, that number is very low for a fight like this. It is bad. All right, so not good. Not good.
Which means for the rematch, Eric, neither one of them can use the numbers for their advantage.
What do you do, Robert? I'm going to ask you now because there's probably going to be a rematch. Yeah. I mean, you put that on pay-per-view, I guess. I mean, do you? I mean, what do you do? I mean, and how do you sell that? If it only got 160,000 buys, somebody lost money off that. Rock Nation. And Rock Nation did a bad job promoting that. I mean, because I didn't see that fight anywhere. The only people that knew about it was us. The guys who watch boxing all the time, and we're the guys that knew about it. What? I mean, honestly, man, what do you do with that fight? Do you just put it on HBO, or what do you do?
I think the next time, I don't know if it can be done, but I think the next time you make main events the main promoter and have them have the responsibility of putting out all the promotional material, because Rock Nation has proven over and over again they don't know how to negotiate, and when they do negotiate, they sign fighters to ridiculous deals, and they don't know a thing about promoting fights. This is not the music business. Turn it over to Kathy Duva. Let her do the promoting. Leave that headache to her, and let's see if she does a better job. Because 160,000 buys for two of the best fighters around, that's embarrassing for the sport of boxing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't. It's just like, what do you do? And main events might not want it. Main events might not want to promote it. After they see, 160,000, what are they going to do? They're going to be, they're going to want to put this on HBO. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah, you got to put this on regular HBO, because this first fight proved it's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. I mean, are you seriously going to ask the public again to pay $75? And that's what it was, $75.
Yeah, I mean, and it, at the end of the day, man, it's tough to justify that with the cards the UFC and everything put on. It's tough to justify that, man. So I don't know. That's a big one, man. We already touched on Ed Brown, the top welterweight or the top prospect that was shot. I believe he's a welterweight, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, unfortunately, he was shot in the head yesterday and passed away today. So it was a very tough thing, man. That is awful. Brandon Rios versus Victor Ortiz is set for February 4th. According to Supreme Boxing Media, Brandon Bam Bam Rios and Victor Ortiz will get it on here February 4th at Los Angeles, and it'll be announced at the venue. Will be announced soon. So it's official. It's about as official as it gets without actually having the venue and everything. But it's most likely going to happen. So February 4th, Rios and Ortiz will fight.
Realistically, I know Joe from Indiana was all excited about this, but
yeah, I'm not crazy about it.
These are two guys that are well past their primes. Is this fight even really worth watching?
You know what's funny is I'm not crazy about this one. I'm not real crazy about this one, but I'm crazy about the Roy Jones fight. Roy Jones is gonna take on Roy Jones set to take on February 17th. Roy Jones is set to take on Bobby Gunn. If you guys don't know who Bobby Gunn is the bare knuckle boxing champion. He's a former cruiserweight who's fought a lot of good fighters like Glenn Johnson and James Toney. He's no slouch, man. It's a dangerous fight for Jones, man. I can't wait. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be very entertaining, man. He can fight. I know a lot of people think he's a bum, man, but I'm telling you, the guy is good. He's a bare knuckle champion. He can fight a little bit, Give him some slack. I think it's going to be good. It is a pay-per-view fight. I don't know if it's that good. It depends on the undercard. But
I'm not paying for that.
Oh, how dare you? Oh, Robert, what are you doing? What do you mean you're not paying for that? Beeb, I know you're paying for that.
No.
Beeb, you paying for that fight?
Absolutely. I'm going to pay for Robbie too.
Beeb said he'll pay for two pigeons fighting, boy.
Guys, seriously, guys, do you honestly think Brandon Rios and Victor Ortiz is going to be worth sitting down in front of your TV to watch?
Robbie, that's going to be fight of the year. I guarantee it.
You might have something there because you know what? Both of those guys are going to go at each other. They don't like each other, but it is what it is. Beeb.
Robbie, don't always.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to tell Robbie, don't always just look at the two fighters, but look at how the two styles match up.
Yeah.
Both of these guys, they're aggressive fighters. They get hit a lot. And as Eric said, they don't like each other.
I know that, but I don't see a Ward Gotti thing coming out of this. I don't see fight of the year. I don't see competitive. I think so. I think these two guys shot.
I don't see a Ward Gotti in this one either. I'm not gonna be honest, man.
This is gonna be a spectacular. This is gonna be a spectacular fight.
This ain't Hearns and Hagler.
I don't think so.
All right, Beeb, it's time. The train wreck of the week. It is time for the train wreck. All right. So, Floyd Mayweather shows a $100 million check on social media. Floyd Mayweather took to social media to let you know that he's got more money than you. Quote, "Gotta love those backseat drivers so worried about another man's legacy instead of trying to write their own." Mayweather posted in response to rumors that he's going to return to the ring. "Ultimately, I will always have the last laugh," Mayweather says. "This is just one of my many checks, a cool $100 million that I still have every dime of." The check is dated May 2nd, 2015, which is the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. The fight generated, of course, $4.6 million, 4.6 million pay-per-view buys and bunch of money and everything like that. Beav, is this a good move by Mayweather? Letting you know that he's got a lot more money than you'll ever dream of.
It goes back to the burning of the money and the whatever when we did that, and it's just I don't want to see it. I mean, I don't want to see something like that. Something I'll never ever get. I'm throwing it in my face. I don't ever see the need for something like that.
You know what, Eric? You know what I want to see? I want to see Cinco de Mayo 2017. Him and Pacquiao across the ring from one another for number 2. That's
Seriously?
what I want to see.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Shut up. I'd rather see him and McGregor. I'd rather see him and McGregor than him and Pacquiao. Are you serious?
Yeah,
Come on, man. You don't want to see number 2.
I never understood. Yeah. I never understood the flaunting of the money, the flashing of the money. I never understood that.
Look, we all know that you have more money than God. You don't have to show it.
Said he sleeps on a bed of money at night.
Let me ask you this, Eric. Does Warren Buffett and Bill Gates show their checks? and they got a lot more money than Floyd Mayweather.
Exactly. Class thing, man.
Our next president has more money than Floyd Mayweather. Do you see him showing it around?
Sid, he's fixing fights, man. I'm telling you, he's fixing those fights, those Russian fights, man. Some of them guys went down. You got to have deep pockets to do that. Matchroom Boxing looking to make some big fights this year. Jorge Linares versus Anthony Krala. The fight looking to be made in March. According to Eddie Hearn, Nathan Cleverly versus Jürgen Bramer. Looking to be made in April. And then here's one that Errol Spence Jr. versus Kell Brook. They didn't really give a time on this one, but he's the mandatory. Or Eddie Hearn threw a curveball at us and saying Kell Brook versus Manny Pacquiao. So
because number one, Kell Brook, Errol Spence is mandatory. And so you either got to pay Errol Spence a lot of money to take the Pacquiao fight,
right?
Or you got to go in there and lose, because that's exactly what you're going to do.
Right. So my guess is that Eddie Hearn puts together Kell Brook versus JoJo Dan 2. Hearn never gets the big fights, so that's kind of on par with what he's doing lately. So there you go. Don't forget, tomorrow, download our interview with Chris Van Heerden. He talks about Conor McGregor. He's the one that sparred Conor McGregor in those videos we're watching that we saw. He talks about the sparring session leak, and he'll let us know who he's fighting next, and you don't want to miss who he's fighting next. It's pretty amazing.
And Chris is a great guy.
Absolutely.
I can't say nothing but good things about him.
Awesome.
I mean, the guy that goes out of his way to give you 2 hours out of his time.
Yeah, he gave you guys 2 hours. Yeah, he gave you 2 hours, right? Yeah, our interview is much shorter, but he gave you guys 2 hours, and that's great, man. But you know what I like about Chris Van Heerden is that he shows up for interviews. That's what I like about Chris Van Heerden.
That's right.
You know what I like about Chris Van Heerden is he doesn't flake on us. He doesn't big time anybody.
Right.
Even though Chris Van Heerden's a bigger name than some other people. You know, I'm just saying that he doesn't flake on us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he comes in, he says, "Hey, I'm gonna do an interview." I said, "Hey, are you gonna do our interview?" He says, "Yes," and he does our interview. Just saying.
No, Chris
He's a professional.
Chris is a wonderful guy, man. You know.
Yeah, I can name some names, but I'm not going to because I'm a class guy. That's what I do. All right.
Well, all you guys have to do is rewind.
718.
All you guys have to do is rewind the podcast.
There you go. That's right. That's right. We don't mention any names. 718. You're on.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hello.
Could you do me a favor? Could you turn your radio down in the background? Because we can't. We're getting like a huge echo.
Okay, hold on. How you hear me now? Better?
Oh, thank you, sir. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. So so the fights for the weekend, they were pretty good. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things about Kovalev. I think Kovalev is pretty good.
90 seconds.
Weight crap. He only has one loss to Klitschko, which he gave him a couple of rounds. Klitschko, showed his strength in that fight. He was maybe a little too raw for that fight, but he was game. And he fought this gentleman this week, and which is grossly out of shape. But he was an ex-champion, and he, being that he was an ex-champion, that's a notch for his resume. And the guy, he wasn't. He didn't have the stamina.
60 seconds.
How you call take the fight out of with the jab. And look good in a way, and the guy just gave up. So I think he should be matched with Shannon Briggs next, because Lucas Brown came out with on steroids. That would be a good match. He most probably beat Shannon Briggs. right? Beat the regular champion, defended a couple of times. I know he got to do a mandatory against Kendo, and then see who else comes along the line. If maybe he could be able to unify that belt and they could do away with his multiple titles. Right now, he won the WBA Intercontinental belt. He has been an IBF Intercontinental champion and European champion also. So, I mean, of the Eastern European fighters in the heavyweight division, I think he's the most accredited.
10 seconds.
A chance. I mean, this guy Orango was pretty good this week. He surprised me. He came in and became a multiple world champion by knocking out Troyowski, which didn't study the fighter. I don't understand how could you be a world champion and don't study a fighter's resume. He came into the fight. Didn't know the guy had a strong left hand. He was 20-0 with 20 knockouts, and he added a 21 knockout and won a world championship. How you guys doing, Habib? How you doing, Habib, today?
We're all good.
Thank you.
Ask you a question.
So,
now, you clearly scouted Julius, all right? And so did you have him beating Troyanowski? You weren't as shocked as everybody else? Because I was completely shocked.
What happened was he was 20-0 and 20 knockouts.
He only had 11 knockouts. No, he had 11 knockouts.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Well, I'm sorry about that, but he was undefeated. He was an undefeated fighter. The guy didn't study the fighter, and the guy has a strong left hand from a southpaw stance and knocked him out. And also this guy Murat that fought Dennis Lebedev. They both look like bodybuilders. Dennis Lebedev, I guess from the injuries, he just bulked up. He thinks that by bulking up he could win. He's pretty lethargic because of added muscle, and Murat beat him. He was connecting shots on him. He was a little faster, but he was also kind of jacked. He looked massive for cruiserweight, and he won the 2 belts right there. So I think he's a little too faded now. I think he should hang up the gloves now. Don't even go for the rematch because his side of his face was puffed up. But they look like bodybuilders. They both were jacked.
Mm-hmm.
And in the later rounds, that man slows you down. You saw that fight also?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
What do you think about that fight?
It was close. I thought it was close.
That was too.
You're talking about the Gaziev fight, and let me ask you while we're talking about that, before we go into it, what did you think of the WBA? And we talked about this. We touched on it a little bit earlier in the show. What did you think of the WBA belt not being on the line?
Okay, the WBA belt wasn't on the line. They even said it when it was advertised. They were saying it was an IBF championship. He was defending that belt because that was the mandatory. And also, as for the WBA, there's a couple of guys in the rankings, and he's a super champion. He's a unified champion. So there's also a regular champion for that belt. They explained what happened. What happened is, so to be the super champion, you had to be unified champion. So that way you could direct yourself to the other mandatories, and the regular champion does the mandatories. Then when he takes care of all of that, then he could defend against the number 1 contender, which is the regular champion. They do it so that way the sanctioning, they can make more sanctioning. That's why Danny Jacobs is going to get the fight with Triple G, because he's been defending most of the mandatories. Triple G hasn't fought no mandatories for the WBA. It's been Danny Jacobs, because he's a unified champion. So now he got rid of all the mandatories. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the one that knocks all the mandatories out, and then after that they put him against the super champion, and he becomes a unified champion. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, that's
what
that's the logic that they put out.
Okay.
Because how could you be unified champion and defend the belts for the other titles? That's why he fought the IBF number 1 ranking. You know how IBF is? IBF is, I don't know if you're familiar, but IBF is real strict.
Right.
They did that with Kell Brooks. They made him fight 2. Okay, so you know the deal with that. That's why the belt wasn't on the line.
Yeah, I still don't agree. So, I don't agree with the WBA at all on that. I really don't. I mean, if you walk in as a unified champion, which is IBF and WBA, and I mean, it's set in stone. Like I said, you're not set in stone, obviously, but look, you face a WBA contender, then you face an IBF contender, and then vice versa, and they keep going back and forth. But if you're, to put both belts on the line, that's kind of what you do when you walk in. When you walk in with both belts and walk out with both belts. But let me ask you a question, though. I mean,
I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
From a business standpoint, I understand it. I mean, from a business standpoint, I completely understand. I'm just saying, for practicality reasons, I mean, he got beat, but he's still the WBA champion. How can you really look at him and say you're still the WBA champion? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean,
okay, what happened was with him. He looked he's a champion because when he fought Guillermo put his hands on him bad, man. Guillermo busted him up bad. But being that Guillermo, that guy from Panama was on steroids or something, they took the belt away from him. So then Guillermo blew up to heavyweight. He didn't even want to fight that guy. So he got lucky and fought for the vacant belt and got that belt. Then he fought another guy, which is not too good because the guy's massive. He's a top attraction in Russia. You have to see the place. The place was packed. Okay. Yeah. This guy's a top attraction. He's a star over there. So being that he's such a star, he fought the IBF champion unified. So now this fight here, I mean, no, everybody was stunned that the kid was actually connecting shots. I mean, the fight, he lost by split decision, but the kid was actually, when they both got took it out, the kid's left hand was connecting. He wasn't afraid to tap with that left hand. So being for that tap, the judges saw that and they gave him the split decision. He won the split decision, barely won the title. So now what they should do is give him a chance to unify again, right? To unify the belts and want them to be unified because it's true. Murad needs that WBA chance to unify, and he needs that because he only lost by split decision. Like Klitschko. Klitschko lost to Tyson Fury by split decision. He's another one. He lost by split decision, and he's going to get his rematch or he's going to fight for another world championship. What happened is that these guys are so big they get tired in the late round. But you understand the logic with the WBA, right?
I do. I understand the logic, and I understand the business portion of it. But I don't agree with it. I'll put it that. I'll put it that way. I don't agree with it. That's for sure.
Yeah, because what it is, man. You know what it is. In a way, the multiple championships. I'm gonna give you my opinion. In a way, the multiple champions are good because you get more exposure. Because if they have one champion, right, these kids will have to be waiting in line for years to fight for the world championship. But now, like, look at this kid that won the belt by first round knockout, right? He was 21 and he's 20-0. Right? He came out from our country in Africa and got matched with his gentleman because of his rankings, fought for the championship, got exposure, right? Now he's a two-division champion. He won the belt by first round knockout. Now everybody's talking about it. Terence Crawford want to fight him. All these guys want to Victor Postu. All these guys, Lucas Martinez, all these guys. So now he got a little extra exposure. So by being that the titles are fractured because you won't have a lineal champion in the division, it has its pros and it has its cons. I think that's good. It gives opportunity for young and coming fighters. And thank you for giving me the time. Okay.
All right, sounds good, man. I appreciate your call, buddy. Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I love Suleiman as a caller, but Suleiman, if I didn't know any better, I think you work for the WBA. I do not agree with that opinion. I just don't.
I mean, I see where he's coming from. I mean, I do see where he's coming from because it is a business move. I mean, that's the thing. It's a business move, and I understand what he's saying. Where, like, look at that guy, like the guy who beat Troyanovsky. All right, look at him. He's never getting a shot at the big fighters. Julius Indongo. He's never getting a shot at the big fighter. You know what I'm saying? And so this allowed him to become number one contender and everything. That being said, though, okay, so that being said, it does give him a shot, and now he's a champion. But the thing is, I mean, it's kind of a watered down champion. I mean, if he's not going to get the fight against the big guy, and he can't beat the big guy, then what does it really mean? I mean, I can go buy a belt on eBay. It doesn't really mean a lot. It doesn't mean I'm the champion. And we go back to the Lebedev fight too. He's the WBA champion, but it doesn't mean anything. What's the belt mean? He just lost. The world saw you lose.
What's the point, Eric, of being the WBA champion when you defended the IBF belt and you lost? If you're a true champion, you defend both belts, and if you lose, you lose.
Right. I think that's kind of where where I err on it. It's like, you put the belts on the line, and if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. But I mean, seriously, it's like, and I think it waters it down because look at Triple G. Look at Triple G for a minute. All right, he's the undisputed champion. I don't care what Billy Joe Saunders has to say about it. He's got the 3 main belts. And then we've got he's negotiating with Danny Jacobs to fight for his other belt. There is no other belt. He's the champ. He's a super champ, whatever that means.
That's
all this is a sanctioning. All it is so you can pull out more sanctioning fees. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's just to pull out more sanctioning fees. So from a business end, the WBA is brilliant. From a sporting end, I absolutely hate it. And I absolutely hate that whole thing. I mean, the IBF is nice because it's strict, and you're going to face their top guy. Yeah. Sometimes their top guy sucks. It's not a fight you want to see.
That's the problem. They have horrible ratings.
Yeah.
They have horrible ratings.
Yeah. Some of their guys, man, it's like
they have the weakest ratings.
Yeah.
They have the weakest ratings. So.
I would totally go along with that.
They're the strongest sanctioning body, but they have the weakest ratings.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, but I think we're going to have to agree to disagree with Suleiman, man, because like I said, I understand where he's coming from and everything like that. It's just, when you're talking about who's the best, and that's kind of what we're interested in, it's, we
love you, man. Continue to call, but we agree to disagree with you, brother.
Well, not only that, I mean, did you really do Julius Indongo any service, any real service? Because, he got the championship, but how much did he get paid for that title? I guarantee he didn't get paid much for it. I guarantee for his first defense, he's probably not going to get paid much. So if he fought a big name and then became a big name organically, we got a different story we're talking about, so.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move ahead here. Anthony Joshua, if he gets past Eric Molina, has a tentative scheduled date for April 29th in England versus Vlad Klitschko. Beeb, are you excited about this?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Well, I tell you what.
I love Anthony Joshua.
I wouldn't get too excited because Eddie Hearn's probably promoting it. So hopefully Klitschko's people take over.
Best promoter in boxing. Best promoter in boxing. Why would I not love this event? That's like asking Santa Claus if he likes snow. Of course.
Now, I would bet they're gonna have this at Wembley Stadium, and they're gonna fill up about 90,000 people.
Easy. And I bet they sell out. Within minutes. I bet they sell that place out within hours or minutes, man. Crazy. Just depending on where it takes place. If it's at O2, it's minutes. If it's at Wembley, it's hours. So there you go.
I bet you that. Hey, I bet you it's going to be outside, man. What a wonderful day.
Oh wow. U.S. Olympian Charles Conwell turning pro. Charles Conwell just signed a deal with Split Team Management. Yeah, I don't know who they are either. Conwell was on the U.S. Olympic team in Rio, and finally, David Haye and Tony Bellew came to blows in their latest press conference. This was great. If you have a chance to see this or download it, go do it. Go watch it on YouTube. They went for the face-off. Eddie Hearn was there, and he kind of backed up and let them face off. Now, why they let these two face off, I have no idea. Get that close to each other. You knew something was going to happen. The whole press conference, if you watch a whole press conference, they're needling each other back and forth, so you knew something was going down. They went for a face-off, and Tony Bellew pushed David Haye at the same time. David Haye launched a left hook and cracked him. The two were separated. These two don't like each other, man. They do not like each other. I cannot wait for this fight, man.
I hope we get this on US TV, man.
Yeah, and Fernsey in the chat here.
But I will watch it on my Cody box.
Oh, that's
I will
right.
watch it on my Cody box, and you will get this courtesy of Davey Boy Essex.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Davey Boy, shout out to you.
Fernsey in the chat says it was a quick left hand, and he's right. They had to replay this in slow motion because you couldn't see it. I mean, it was super quick.
Right.
It was super quick, and they got the still of it that showed, because I'm like, he didn't hit him, did he? And I'm like, and I had to look at it again, and it was just a quick left hand. I mean, just a smack kind of thing, So it should be very interesting, man.
This is like when he glossed Derek Chisora. He glossed me.
Glossed me.
Yeah.
Listen. You don't mess with David Haye. I keep telling people, you don't mess with David Haye. He's not going to play around with you. You don't push him. You don't touch him. You don't give him a dirty look. This guy's explosive.
That's right. That's it, man. That's it.
Oh, okay.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and leave him a message. Also, too, just a reminder, when you download the show tomorrow, whether it's on Beating the Odds with Beeb, or if you download it from iTunes, you can also download the conversation with Chris Van Heerden. We got about a 20-minute interview. You do not want to miss it. It's amazing. You can also catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. You can find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. Joe, stand up. Show him your shirt.
Linda Da Silva, baby, courtesy.
When is she going to make a ringside reporter shirt? You know, ringside reporter. That's where it's at.
I got to show you the back of this. Hold on, I got to show you the back. I got to see if I can turn around and show you the back. Give me a second here. I'm in a tight spot here. Let me try and show you the back.
Oh, that's awesome. I see it from here. Oh, my God. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
All right,
she needs to put that logo on the front. Get rid of the Beating Odds with Beeb, and it'll be all right.
No. I gotta show the people at home. I didn't have it. Here we go.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
There it is. There it is, everybody.
There it is.
Shout out to Linda Da Silva, baby.
There it is. Love it. And with
I'm in a
that,
tight spot, but I had to do it.
there you go. There you go. And with that, I'm at Ringside 73 on Twitter, and we will see you next week.
Outstanding.
Thank you
Goodbye,
for using
everybody.
Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Take care, everybody.